chairman. And then we have so far Amanda Souza, Adam Raposa, and Peter Bramonte are absent right now. Maybe they'll turn up. We also have, I don't know if Rick Rogers is here this evening. Is he in the, Jennifer, is he in the background somewhere?
Rick is
Just curious.
here.
I just taken a head count. And then we also have Travis DaCosta as our solicitor and Joe Cardello as steer engineering. Oh, there's Peter. Okay.
Hi, sorry for.
That's all right. Oh, and there's Amanda. Okay. All right. So we have Amanda Souza and Peter Ramonte. You guys, do you want to say present?
Present.
Amanda?
Present. I don't know what's going on here with this.
All right. Well, hopefully we'll see your,
Computer.
hopefully we'll see your cat
Probably.
stalking the planning board meeting. So, all right. Is Doug DeSimone in the background, Jennifer?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, he is.
All
Let
right.
me,
So we'll go ahead and start. The first item is what is it? Douglas DeSimone from Douglas Enterprises Limited here for a release of Surety Harbor Ridge, Plat 118, Lot 304, Southside Hayden Avenue, R30 and R60 zoning districts, discussion and possible vote. So I know we were waiting on the town council to approve the streets, which they did, not last night's meeting, 2 weeks ago. They did approve the streets. So Doug, do you want to introduce yourself and then say why you're here tonight?
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. It's the project has been done now for well over 2 years. We were here, I think it's got to be 7 or 8 months ago. And the road was supposed to be accepted by the town the following month. For whatever reason, it didn't get on the agenda. So my recollection is that the then chairwoman, Sue, had recommended holding $15,000 until the road was accepted, just in case of some travesty that could occur in that next month. So you held $15,000. Now the road has been accepted, so you actually have to give the money back. So it'd be nice to get it in time for my quarterly income taxes.
Right. Okay, so the stipulation that we had made with as part of it was that the homeowners association was going to be turned over to the
Yeah,
property
the
owners.
affairs of I had actually turned it over to the homeowners association. Maybe it was right after the last planning board meeting, but it was 7 or 8 months ago. And
Yes.
the chairman of the homeowners association I spoke to today, his name is Paul Maroy. He's a very nice man. It lives on lot 12. About a couple of 3 weeks ago, you had a snowstorm and the town didn't come out to plow because there was confusion. I thought the road was accepted, to be honest with you. And he dealt extensively with the building official, I believe maybe the public works, but I know also the town administrator. So it's been turned over. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been involved.
Yeah, Doug, it was with the town administrator I discussed this with.
Hi, Paul.
Yes, Paul Maurice is on, yes.
Yeah, if you can just identify yourself for the
Yeah,
record.
I'm Paul Maurice. I live on 56 Harbor Ridge Lane, and I'm the president of the HOA that Doug turned over approximately about maybe 8 months ago, I think.
Okay. Have you filed with the Secretary of State? Because there's nothing that's showed up.
No.
I can refresh your memory on that, Sue.
Go ahead.
There's one of the conditions before I recorded the plat. I think your solicitor then, there's a different solicitor, wanted the homeowners association to be incorporated, which I have never done before because it just is a hassle for the homeowners. So this is incorporated, and I have provided to the town this is a long while ago. It's a not-for-profit corporation. And I sent you the articles of incorporation, I don't know how long ago, a year and a half ago.
Right, we have,
Incorporated
I
April
learned
1.
today that there is an annual report that is yet to be filed. That doesn't mean that it's not in existence. It just means there is an annual report that needs to be filed. And we can go over that with Paul and show him how to do it. It's a very simple procedure. And it does cost $15 a year, Paul.
Yeah, no problem. And also too, just to let everybody know on the call that as of this year, the HOA has been maintaining the street, cutting the grass. There were a couple of trees that fell in the street. We took care of that. So we've been taking care of the entire street since approximately 8 months ago. So just to share that.
Paul, you don't have to do that anymore. That's up to the town. The
Oh,
town.
I wasn't aware of that. I apologize.
Okay.
all right, yeah. So the thing is, you need to have it filed with the Secretary of State, so it's, so that you become I guess, a legal entity. Travis can explain.
And
it.
that's done, Phil.
It is filed. It is set up with the
You
Secretary of
need to
State.
have it listed with your name and whatever officers you have, because the only thing the Secretary of State has is it's listed with Doug's name and I think his wife.
This is why I never use them, corporations, because it's a hassle for the homeowners.
So
But
you guys can
so
probably,
go over with Paul and they'll file the new annual report and that'll be it.
That's
and,
fine.
and Paul, the
I
annual,
want you to understand, the corporation exists. It's just tardy in filing its annual report. It has not been revoked. It is in existence. It's not a big deal. This is a very usual situation.
Yeah, Travis, do you want to comment on?
yeah, all I was gonna say is, Paul, when you take care of the annual reports, with that annual report document, you can change the director and the incorporator and all the information and all the officers with your annual report. So it's an easy change.
Thank you, Travis.
Right.
Thank you, Paul.
So what I would like to see happen though is that change is on file with the town, that it gets recorded in land evidence before the.
That doesn't go to the land evidence record. Goes to Secretary of State.
Right, but then we also get a copy of it, so it gives the
No,
town,
you don't. Goes to Secretary of State.
right, but if we have a copy of it, we know
Get
where.
online.
All right, so the question is, if the board, I think we're within our right. I did discuss this with Denise DeMaderos, the council president today, to ask if, because we don't have this homeowners association on file.
No, excuse me.
Doug, just wait.
No, I really want to finish this.
I'm gonna mute you, Doug.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, that we're within our purview to withhold the funds until this is filed and the new homeowners association reflects the property owners. It's basically, it's not to be difficult, it's to protect the town so that if any issues come up, they know who to contact and who is responsible. It sounds like they have been responsible, but they haven't fulfilled their legal obligation. And there's a couple of ways we can proceed. We can either ask them to come back, I guess the homeowner association to come back, or no, I guess it would be Doug, to come back and hold the funds until this is actually filed, to do a conditional to release the funds, to approve this, and then release the funds once that documentation has been received. Or just grant the money, or just return the funds to him now. The only thing is, my caution is if we release the funds, we have no more leverage to make sure that this gets formally filed and that annual reports are filed. So this is basically a protection for the town, that they fulfill, that the homeowners now fulfill their obligations written in the homeowners association agreement. I don't know if any members of the board have comments or strong feelings one way or the other, or Jennifer, if you want to comment.
Yeah, you could make it, someone could make a motion to make it conditional that the administrative officer, possibly the chair, both see the document, and we could do a conditional approval that he would get.
Could I be heard?
All right, Doug?
Could I be heard?
Yes.
I just want to remind you that, you know, I did every single thing the town wanted me to do. I think I was a very, very responsible developer. You had no problems with me at all, none. Now, 7 months later, 7 or 8 months, maybe 9, I don't know. But I was there 9 months ago. The money should have been returned then. I went along with it. To be quite honest with you, I then forgot about the money. But now my memory's been jogged. And now you want to condition the returning of my money, and it's your street now. It's your street. You own the street. And now you want to condition the returning of my money on something that I have no control over, because I am not the person who should file this annual report. I can't file it. I'm not a homeowner. I'm not a member. So I'm just suggesting to you that what you're doing is really wrong. It's wrong. And it doesn't help the town one little bit. It's just another way to hold on to my money, and it's wrong. I have no doubt that Paul will get this in short order, but it's out of my control, and it's wrong.
I reluctantly agree with Mr. DeSimone. It really is out of his hands now. The town was advised by us to approve the road on condition that a homeowners association was duly formed and recorded. That has happened. The town has accepted Harbor Ridge Lane. And now it's really between the town and the homeowners association, not between the town and Mr. DeSimone. He has completed his activities in Harbor Ridge, and I see Sue's point very clearly that the town needs to be protected, but I think that the way to do that is to work with the homeowners association. We do have correspondence from the Secretary of State of Rhode Island acknowledging that she has received materials and reminding the homeowners association that they will need to file an annual report. So we know that that things are on their way. We only are holding $15,000. We earlier returned most of the surety, 6-7 months ago. And the developer, Mr. DeSimone, has done all of the small items that Rick Rogers, our DPW director, urged him to do. We have correspondence from Rick Rogers dated 8 of this year, that the 3 minor issues, minor cleaning of drainage, loam placement, and seeding along the road edge, and small pockets of reseeding, that has been done. Rick inspected it. I actually took a drive by. The neighborhood looks good. It's clean, it's neat. The drainage basins are clean. I couldn't see one of them very well because it was too far from the road and I didn't want to trespass, but I would make a motion just to get the discussion rolling. I would make a motion that that Mr. DeSimone has fulfilled all of his obligations to complete the improvements that he promised to complete, and that he should, and that we should authorize the return of the remaining $15,000 from the original surety.
Is there a?
I also agree with Sue that we should, as part of my resolution, instruct the AO to follow up with the homeowners association to make sure that the town has contact information for the president of the homeowners association, so that the town will know who to turn to if an issue comes up where Rick Rogers or some other employee of the town of Tiverton needs to contact the homeowners association. So that would be my resolution.
Is there a second to the motion? So we have discussion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Is there further discussion? Rick, do you have, what's your feeling about this? If you feel comfortable with not having the homeowners association formalized and returning the surety, or would you prefer to hold on to the surety until that's formalized?
I would like very much that the HOA, submits all the documents they need to submit, and I would like the town, protected, but I do not see a way to protect the town by holding the surety. So no, DPW is of the opinion the surety should be released, but that in the future, some other protections should be put forth to protect the town in regards to HOAs filing everything correctly and having names and emails and phone numbers available for town personnel. Thank you, Susan.
Okay, thanks.
May I
Susan, I
speak?
just like to add, I'm sorry, that I did disclose my email address, my contact information, and my personal cell number to, I think, Tara today at the town hall. So that information is on file. And I have all the emails of everyone in this development as well, so.
Okay.
May I speak?
Yeah, go ahead, Rosemary.
I am a bit hesitant. I feel for Mr. DeSimone. I think he's done a good job, and I feel for Mr. Moros. I have been on the planning board many years, and I have seen other homeowners associations and developers holding on to or not even establishing an HOA. The backup that the town council got was from Nellie Gabana, from the Secretary of State, and it was addressed to Mr. DeSimone dated May 5th. We did not get this through the planning board. It only says, it gives the, talks about the annual report. It gives a customer ID number and a PIN number on it. How long, Mr. Moros, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I apologize. if
It's
not.
French, it's Marois, that's okay.
Moros, how
Yes.
long do you think it would take you to get this established?
So if Doug guides me through this tomorrow, I can have it to you by Friday.
Okay.
The chief financial officer is my neighbor, Patrick. So I mean, it's a small community. There's only 14 establishments in this development. It's not as cumbersome as it sounds on my end.
Oh, I know. I've been up there many times.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I mean, we'll do whatever. I'll do whatever it takes to make it right. I mean, that's part of the obligation to the HOA. That's fine.
Right.
I don't have a problem if you reach out to me. I do this stuff all the time. It's very simple. If you want to reach out to my office, I have no problem walking you through it as well.
Thank you, Travis.
Want to comment? And I'm still a little hesitant. If, this could get processed in a week, my preference is to hold the funds until we have it in hand, just because I think it's.
Is this cash, Doug, or is this a bond?
No, it's cash. And again, I understand what you're doing, but what I really want to impress upon you is, it's nice to want something, but it's the town's road now. You have to release the funds.
We
It's the
will.
law. No. You want to let me finish, please? It's the law. I know I'm only talking about a day, and it'll probably be done tomorrow. But I can't tell you how much money I have had to fight with towns over to get my money back. It's something that we as developers, it's kind of a chip on our shoulder, if you must say. But here, the money should have been released 8 months ago. I went along with it. Tonight, you should release the money. We don't have to come back to you. Nobody has to come back. Paul will do what he's got to do. And I think you know me well enough. When I tell you I'm going to help him and we'll get it done, we'll get it done. But I don't have to come back next month. I don't know if any of you won't want to waste any more time on this. The law requires you to return the money. It should be returned tonight. That's all.
I'd just like to say that I personally think that a court of law would question the town of Tiverton for holding surety when the surety was held originally for improvements to be done to the road and the drainage system, et cetera. And all of that, as Mr. Rogers has attested, has been done. We are, I think, on very shaky legal ground, holding even a small amount of surety. This is only $15,000. I don't think it's going to bankrupt Mr. DeSimone. And I certainly think that the town of Tiverton doesn't, have any intention of holding it forever. But having said that, I think we're on very shaky legal ground, and I'd be happy to hear from Travis to hold this surety when all of the improvements that the surety was tied to have been completed to the satisfaction of the town of Tiverton's DPW director.
And was that the only reason? There was also a condition that the homeowners association be set up as well, though, right?
Yes, you're right.
So
that was the condition of preliminary plan approval, I believe. I don't think it was tied to the surety. I may be wrong, but I don't think it was connected to the surety. I think it was a condition on preliminary plan approval.
The June 2nd minutes said that that documentation evidencing the homeowners association was now controlled by the lot owners and not the developers for purposes of maintenance was one of the stipulations that we sent to the council for approving the road. And then the new one wasn't submitted to the council when they approved the road. So that was the issue, but that was the one caveat that we agreed to forward our recommendation to the council, was that a homeowners association would be formed in the name of the property owners. Because at that time we knew it was in Mr. DeSimone's name, but the idea is always to get it transferred to the owners of the subdivision and not have it still be on the back of the developer. So it's just basically, it's not tied directly to the maintenance or the infrastructure, but it was a condition of the surety release and acceptance of the roads. So I don't know if anybody else has anything else to do. We can just go ahead and take a vote on this. I mean, the two options are, well, we could take a vote on to release the surety. That would full surety. And then Mr. Moray will initiate a new homeowners association. So I don't know, does anybody else have any other questions or comments for discussion before we take the vote?
Can I just ask a question, please? Mr. DeSimone, has there been any documents signed between you and Paul transferring? And when you say that, it's not me anymore, or I'm not involved anymore, when you say that, is that just based on conversations you've had with Paul, or is that based on some type of resolution or document that,
No, what happened was 7 or 8 months ago, I called a meeting of the homeowners association.
Okay.
Handed the affairs of the association over to the association. At that time, they elected officers, and Paul has been elected the president, officers and board of directors. And that was before your last planning board meeting.
Has that been memorialized into a resolution?
Well, I couldn't answer that because I'm involved, but what you tied it to was the turning of the affairs over. That was done before the last meeting. What you're asking for now is a piece of paper when you have dealt extensively with the chairman and president of the association over the last 3 weeks when the town didn't plow the road. And I take responsibility for that because I had forgotten that we had this last step to do. I'm not putting the blame for not plowing the road on the town. I'm accepting that responsibility. But now the town has accepted the road. Everyone in the world knows that the association exists. It exists at the Secretary of State. They have officers. The officers are responsible people. They deal with the town. They deal with the town administrator. What are you guys doing?
All right, so,
It's just, come
but on
on.
the Secretary of State, Doug, it's still you, it's still Steve.
I understand this, but this is,
Sorry.
you know what, hold the money, we'll take care of it, but I gotta say this.
Well, we got to vote,
It's
so
just,
we'll let the
you
vote
don't
go,
need to vote.
but
You don't even need to vote. I withdraw my application for the money. I'll come back and get it another way. Thank you. Good night. Application's withdrawn. Go to the next item.
I just wondering, so then do we just nullify this first, the motion in the second? Okay.
yeah, it's,
We got a motion in second. Should we complete the vote?
no, it's the application's withdrawn.
Okay,
Draw your motion, is that,
That's what he just did it.
okay.
well, I mean, the board members.
I'm,
Yeah, is there somebody, I guess?
do I still stay on? This is Paul. Hey, do I still stay on the call? Am I all set? Or I'm kind of confused on where we're going with this at this point, but
Why don't you contact the planning office tomorrow? They can advise you.
Okay,
Travis, do you want me to give you a call who do I call tomorrow? I'm sorry.
I'm more than happy for you to call me and walk you through what needs to be done.
Perfect. I want to get this application done for 2020. That's fine.
Application is withdrawn, and I don't know, since Stu, if you made the motion, do you want to withdraw your motion?
I'm happy to withdraw the motion.
Okay.
May I say something? I think Travis's point about getting something memorialized is very important for our files.
All right.
Yeah, it's just corporate, that's just corporate law. I mean, you can't just say it happened. There's got to be something there.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll see how this plays out, I guess.
Can we just understand something? So for future,
Yeah.
where was the breakdown in this not transferring in time? Once it went and was approved by the city council, I'm trying to understand where this breakdown happened.
So I think what it was he came for us in June, and we released most of the surety, but we had retained the 15,000 until the street was accepted by the town. And the caveat was that the homeowners association would be transferred to the homeowners. And that's the recommendation that was sent to the council. I think unbeknownst to him, it was his responsibility to petition the council to accept the road. And he never did that. That's why it lied dormant until there was a snowstorm and the road didn't get plowed because it wasn't a town accepted road. But basically, it wasn't the town's responsibility to go to him and say, do you want your road accepted? It was to him to petition, but like you said, he forgot about it. So that's where it languished.
Okay.
Then I guess when it went to the town administrator, it got put on the council's agenda. And 2 meetings ago, they took the information that they had. But I think what they didn't realize was that the homeowners association was established was still in Doug's name and not been established yet by the property owners, which is what the stipulation was that we had addressed. And
So at that time, when the council was reviewing it,
Yep.
they did not understand that it had not been
right, that was
memorialized.
that was the missed point, that we sent the recommendation that they accept the road if the homeowners association had been transferred to the homeowners, because we wanted to make sure that was the last step in the process.
So who was that then, on the council or on our?
It was overlooked. Well, it was overlooked. So that it,
In terms of, like, I'm just thinking about all the work we've been doing on our checklist process.
right.
There
I think
seems,
that, there's a couple things. Mr. DeSimone didn't mention that it was, I believe, in June that he was supposed to submit the annual report and didn't do that. So he makes it sound like it happened all in the past, but he didn't do that until we pointed it out to him just a few days ago. I believe that the town administrator got documents from the Paul, the new head of the homeowners association, and said, that there are people, he's there, he's been voted as president. The thing is, the documents weren't at the Secretary of State. So I think that you know, when the council voted on it, they got input from Chris, and Chris literally talked to the guy and said that everything is done. But the paperwork wasn't
actually.
It was a breakdown. It was, you know, the
Right. It's a process.
paperwork wasn't fine.
People that
Yeah.
aren't familiar with doing this don't understand the process. And the whole point is to protect the town. I mean, I think, you know, that they sound like they're reasonable and responsible parties, but we aren't always that fortunate to have reasonable and responsible parties then that assume their responsibilities and carry it forward. So the upshot would be then if they failed to follow through on that, you know, if there were problems with the stormwater drainage, because Doug's name's still on the homeowner association agreement, I mean, the town could either go after him for the funds and he'd say, it's not me, it's them, you know, the homeowners. And they say, well, they could just as easily say, no, it's not us. We never filed.
Yeah, no, I totally understand the rationale, and I'm not in disagreement with that. I just wondered why this one oversight piece happened, and if it could in any way be prevented for the future in terms of a handoff that, and maybe we won't be in a similar situation. But just trying to understand if there's something procedurally that was missed that could be fixed. That's all.
Well, I think if anything was submitted to the council, it fell on them to make sure that they met the obligation that basically our recommendation was based on. That's what that means.
If I may say, Susan, without veering too far off course, I think at last night's where you spoke, Susan, and I did also, and Chris Carter, that actually the town council recommended there would be some reviews, and that we look forward to making some adjustments to some of the procedures so it's more clear for us, because there are so many moving parts between the planning board, the planner, the DPW, and the developers and the homeowners association, et cetera, coming up with some process that might be a little more clear for everybody, that in a checklist or whatever, so that some of these things are a little easier to track. I'm not finding fault with DPW or anybody else. It's just there are so many moving parts that this little meeting or meetings that we'll be having should help improve this situation, just to address some of Peter's questions.
I think that's great, and I appreciate that, Rick. Just because, you know, we'd rather not create disgruntled customers, that's all. But thank you.
Well, Travis, just my question is, now that he's withdrawn the application, if the homeowners association is filed, we can't return the surety because we didn't vote, right?
We're gonna have to reach out to him, ask him to request it to get back on the calendar. He should have never drawn it. It should have just been continued.
No, I know. I mean, you know, it seemed like we were prepared to conditionally, you know, within a week of the filing and the money to it. We wanted it this evening, but the check wouldn't have got cut anyway. So, all right, I guess we'll just have to wait and see where this goes next. Okay, all right. Let's move on to item number 2, see if we fare any better. This is for Robert and Colleen Barboza. Preliminary plan, Barboza Estates, 2-lot minor subdivision, Plat 510, lot 109, 267 King Road, Northside King Road, west of Cornell Road, R80 zoning district, review and possible vote. Time clock expires January 31st, 2021. So is Mr. Barboza or anyone else here?
If somebody is, because I don't see his name in the attendees, but there are a bunch of attendees. There's Lori Wood, Rob Wood, Rebecca Lee Hudson, and there's another person that just says Galaxy 610E. I don't know if anyone can raise their hand if they're under Bob Barboza's. Maybe that's what Galaxy is. I'm going to allow somebody to talk. So who, oh, yes. Who is Galaxy? somebody
You unmute yourself. We just want to figure out if you're Galaxy S.
there. I unmuted you.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
Bob.
it's Bob Barboza.
Oh, great.
Okay. All right.
Hello.
You're traveling incognito. Okay.
This is, you want me to?
Yeah, I think, or you're representing yourself, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think because we have new members and because this petition is 2 years old, the plan that you submitted to us this time, if you can review it for the board, and also Joe Cavallo, so if you want to present it then.
Is that the plan, Joe? Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
Who's talking?
That's mine.
Sorry about that. That was a bit- yeah, this is the subdivision plan, and the erosion and sediment control plan is right above it.
All right, come on back.
Need the applicant to discuss this for the board. Some of these people are new members and they weren't here 2 years ago when you started, so you need to present it.
Okay, my name is Robert Barboza. I'm here regarding Barboza Estates, and I'm here for okay on my preliminary plan. We're doing a minor subdivision of 14 acres. And we're taking subdividing a lot out of it for a house for ourselves. And we've had issues with the wetlands and zoning. And we're at this point right now where we're here to get the preliminary plan okayed. And I'd like to make a request also of getting maybe if everything's okay with the preliminary plan, to have Jennifer okay the final, so I wouldn't have to do another extension for a meeting.
Well, it'll be a new application. Final plans are a new application, so
Yeah, I have the application.
you submit. So what you're trying to do is you have a single family house on the lot and a driveway, a new driveway access road or access. I don't know, Joe, do you want to go over any of your final comments?
My comments were, actually, I think, okay, the discrepancy in the labeling, the contours, that's been corrected. When we looked at the plan, we did not see any notation as to where a benchmark was located. Again, I don't think that's really on the checklist or is required for preliminary plan approval, but it's certainly going to be needed for construction. So I guess the question would be, has a benchmark been set out there? Is it shown on the plans? Am I just missing it?
Yeah, the benchmark is actually on the septic plan, and it's identified on the telephone pole on the corner of the driveway.
Okay, so if I go to the DEM approved plan, here's the, can you see that plan? Did it come up?
Yes.
Okay. CB to be set. Here's the pole here.
Where?
Come on.
I mean, do you normally ask for a benchmark, Joe, or is this something? You have-
No, it's just because there was a grade problem. It just tripped off. I'm like, what, you know, if I found a benchmark, I could have answered the question about the grade discrepancy on my own, still making the comment, but it's something that's going to be needed for construction. Again, I don't think it's a reason not to approve the plan, but I think they're going to need that when they go to lay out the house, build the wall, or do the septic system. So it's an engineering thing that they need to lay out the
It's
property.
not something that needs to be included on the final plan.
Yeah, we'll have it addressed on the final plan. I know the benchmark has been established, and I do have it on my on-site water treatment system plan. Why it didn't get transferred to that one, I'm not sure, but we do have the benchmark.
Okay. I just don't see it.
Well, that is an older plan because he did take off that writing
Right.
on the new preliminary plan. The revised.
Nope, that's not it.
So before Bob Barboza was heard on November 10th, and we had a list of items to be addressed. And they included omitting the DEM writing on the plan as it was done. Also include the permit number, which was done. Obtain a curb cut from DPW, which was obtained from Rick. And I believe that Joe Cardillo reviewed it and mentioned about the benchmarks, but that, like he said, it wasn't caused to right now an issue. It will be needed for the construction. And then also the last part was finalizing the legal documents with the access easements, because you see that part of the existing driveway for one of the lots will go over one of the new lots. And he did get his attorney to do those easements. I think I sent him to Mike a couple weeks ago, but then I recently sent him to Travis. I don't know if he had opportunity to look over them, but if they want to.
Have you seen them, Travis? Have you?
Contingent on
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I have them in front of me too right now. Attorney Chappelle drafted them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I read them this afternoon after I got them, and they seem fine for me. They work well. The language is perfect. I don't see any problems with it at all, actually.
With utility and access easements that he needed, right?
Right.
All right. So those will need to be, Mr. Barboza, those will need to be recorded when we record your final plan, those documents. So
Yes.
there's no wording changes that you recommend to be done on before recording then, Travis?
No, nope, Sue.
Okay. All right. All right. Yeah, we'll just need those submitted with the final plan for approval then. Do you have anything else, Joe?
No, that was it. I thought, plan's gone through DEM. They've obviously put the applicant through the ringer. We don't have any other comments.
All right. Rick, do you have any final comments? The preliminary plan?
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan. No, this is Rick, DPW. I've met with Bob Barboza a couple of times about DPW requirements, and the only ones at this point prior to e-permitting, which is down the road, which has nothing to do with the planning board. I've met with him about the curb cut and met with him about the driveway paver apron, and the PAP is not applicable to DPW. We just do the street, just the curb cut. So DPW is all set with this. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Does anybody else from the planning board have any other questions or comments?
Well, I'd just like to, I'm prepared to make a motion, but as an introduction to my motion, I'd just like to remind some of the newer members of the planning board that poor Mr. Barboza has been put through the ringer by DEM on a wetlands issue, and was required by DEM to to move the footprint of the proposed dwelling. But that raised an issue with zoning because it was within the setback. So then Mr. Barboza had to go to the zoning board of review and ask for dimensional relief. It was only like 10 feet for the setback. So we've been around and around and around on this, but I think we're at a point now where we can certainly approve the preliminary plan with the two conditions that were cited. The first condition by Joe Cardello, and I'm looking at his letter of December 31, 2020. And I think that what Joe would like to see on the next plan iteration is a benchmark for the topography and elevations detailed on the plan. And Joe also mentioned that we are unable to find any reference to the base levels for the contour elevations shown on the plan. So that would be one condition for approval of preliminary plan. The other condition mentioned by the planner is that the documentation for the easements, and I believe there are two easements. One is a utility easement and the other one is a driveway access easement, that be approved by Mr. Travis or by Mr. Marcello on behalf of the town.
Can I jump in here? Stu, I don't mean to cut you off, but I reviewed these documents, and Sue, you just mentioned, I was unaware that there was also a specific utility easement that needed to be put down on this. I have an access easement, or at least that's what I was looking for. Is that's not the full understanding? It also needs to have the ability to allow utilities to go through this easement?
Right, that's what we had in our notes. And I guess, was it the overhead wire? It looks like go cut through that little section. I'm not sure what exactly,
So don't the utilities go over every lot? I mean,
I don't know. I'm not sure how far back that goes, but we were told we needed a utility easement also.
I mean, usually utilities from National Grid have their own easements, unless you're talking about sharing septic, but they're not doing that there.
It looks
There's
like
no
water.
There's no utility language in these documents.
Overhead wires, I guess is what. I don't know where that.
If I may add something, Susan, if it helps at all, there's the only reason my understanding for the green shade on Joe's drawing for Bob and Colleen Barboza is access through the existing driveway. There's no requirement anywhere, to my knowledge, for the town that any utilities have to follow an existing driveway or anything. So they would, the other lot would still maintain all its ability to put utilities anywhere on their lot. They just would need, if they wanted to in the future, put it in a green shaded area. At that point, they would need a utility easement, but there's presently no need for utility easement, and not necessarily even anticipate a need for any utility easement as shown on the drawing.
I think there is, Rick, a pole within that green area. There's a star there where the arrow goes to.
Yeah, does that matter?
I don't know. Is that Travis?
I know.
Maybe that's why we need the utility easement, because no, up farther, go up.
Yeah, I can't grab inside.
Oh, okay. Inside there's a star where that line goes to, over a little to the right.
That's not owned by the property owners.
Correct.
It is
by National Grid.
If I can.
Yep.
My understanding is usually when you have a property like this, National Grid will furnish, install, and pay for the first pole. After that, it's all by the owner. They have to pay for them. And if there's maintenance on them, it's the property owner's issue past that first pole. So in other words, National Grid will give you up to one pole free.
Understand.
I think these are existing poles.
Those exist. Number 2 exists.
Yes. Yeah, my question is, the utility easement is written down there by Mr. Barboza's engineer. I don't think that's anything that we came up with. So
Yeah,
Because if that's what you're looking for in these deeds, it's not there.
it wasn't told that it had to be put there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
We were only looking for an access easement.
Yeah, so if we need an
I just
access,
wanted to be clear.
but I don't know why his engineer put utility easement. I don't think. it would have-
So I need to amend my motion. So the conditions on approval that I'm proposing in my motion, the conditions on proposal of the preliminary plan would be the benchmark notation on the plan as discussed and described by Joe Cardello. And then the second condition would be that our legal team see and formally approve the access easement for the driveway.
Which I believe he just did.
And so with those two conditions, I think we're ready to go ahead and make findings of fact.
Well, I had a couple other comments of things I'd like to see on the final plan that would make it a conditional. Mr. Barboza, I think we had it before and this wasn't done. So under the notes at the top, note number 1, I want these on the final plan. So they're easy reference when these go to the planning board or for future. So the first one is the wetlands permit, which would be 17-0240. And note 3 is the insignificant alteration permit that was granted by DEM. That's permit number 20-0152. And note number 4 is the OWTS. We do have a valid permit. It's doesn't expire until 2023. I'd like to have that permit number added. That's a DEM permit 1733-0940. And under number 7, I noticed DEM wanted to the driveway to be marked as washed crushed stone. It has washed and free of dust and fines, but I figured we should use the DEM wording that's washed crushed stone. And I also want you to add a note number 8 that shows that the zoning board relief, the book and page number is book 1765, page 222. So if anybody has to go back and reference the zoning relief that was sought for this. And also on the DEM plan, I want it transferred onto the final plan. It showed specifically, it had the lines on there where the landscaping needed to take place. So I want that to carry over to the final plan, whether they have hashtag, hash marks or whatever. And I don't know if that needs to also be a note number 9 that refers to the DEM. That was, that was the DEM comment 17A. And what was the 17B? They made 3 comments, but 17A and 17B need to be added as notes. 17C was that now I'm lost the word. The line to protect the runoff, that's been extended like they asked.
Limit of disturbance?
Yeah, limit of disturbance, thank you. I lost the words. Yeah, that looks like that's extended down as far as the driveway. So that seems like that's what they were looking for, but the 2 other items that were on the DEM plan, I want those carried over to the final plan. So when they go to the building office, they know that there has to be the landscaping there, and specifically from what points on that wall, because that's a stone wall, where they need to be. So I'd like to have those added. So those would be conditions for the preliminary plan approval, that they need to be on the final.
And I would accept that. Those are excellent suggestions. So I would accept Susan's thoughts for additional conditions as part of my amendment. And Susan, do you want those all listed in the notes?
Oh, yeah, I want the permit, the DEM permit numbers listed in the notes, like they refer to.
Right.
Those.
So everything's in the notes on the plan and everybody can see
Right,
it.
I want all the permit numbers listed there, so they'll be there for easy reference. So I never know what goes to the building office and the contractors, but if they need to look it up, the information's all right there, because this was a long process, and make sure everything's where they can find it when they need to look anything up, because everything is valid. I just want to make sure it carries through.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. So I would accept that as part of my motion.
All right, so we have the condition, we have a motion for the benchmark, the base level elevation, the final legal review of the access easement, the DEM permit numbers added to notes 1, 3, and 4 on the plan, and notes on the plan to address comment 17A and B from DEM, shown with the demarcation lines to show where the landscaping needs to be. A note that addresses that the driveway materials are wash crushed stone. And then, also include a note that notes the zoning board release book page number.
The book and page of the decision of the zoning board.
Yes, thank you. Yes, the decision, right. So those would be the conditions that I have. I don't know if anybody else has any others they want to add in.
So it would be a conditional preliminary plan approval, correct?
Correct. Right. So these are Mr. Barboza, are these things we would like you to have included on the final plan when you submit it?
Am I going to be able to get those conditions?
I'll write them up and give them to you. Yes, or Kara.
Yeah, it was kind of quick. My shorthand's a little.
Yes, no problem.
About the deed.
Thank you.
Nothing has to be done with the deed.
So the deed, as far as the deed goes, we're going to be able to leave it as just an access?
Yes.
Okay. We just wanted to make sure that was fine.
Yeah, you didn't need that. So the conditions. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 conditions, I believe. Conditions. 7. So Steve made a motion.
We don't have a second.
I know.
I'll second it for conditional preliminary plan approval.
But we have to do the findings first.
Oh, sorry.
We're just doing all the conditions. Okay.
So-
With the conditions. Can you put the screen back full so I do roll call for voting? I need the faces. Okay, thank you. So we have the motion and the second for the 7 conditions for preliminary plan. So I need to take a vote now. So we'll start with.
I have one other question before you take a vote.
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Now, along with your preliminary vote, would it be okay that Jennifer review the final and okay that with the application? So if not, I'm going to have to go for another extension.
No, you don't need to go for another extension. The time clock is for the preliminary. So
that one's done after this.
I was trying to explain, it's like a whole new application.
The final plan is a new application.
Okay.
Right, so you've done your series of extensions. You're done with it. Okay. So I have a second. So we'll do a roll call vote on this. Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Janice?
Yeah.
Amanda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Stu?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Okay. So that's
But Susan, don't we need a motion to approve findings of fact? We
Yeah.
haven't made findings of fact.
I did write up some findings of fact. If you
Yeah.
want
So we
to
do
share
conditions.
them.
So now we're going to do findings. And, Jennifer has done the findings, so if you want to go ahead and do those.
I can just read them? Okay.
Into the record, that'd be great.
Okay. So the first one is the proposed development is consistent with the town comprehensive plan and/or has satisfactorily addressed the issues where there may be inconsistencies. I said the Barboza Estates minor subdivision will maintain areas for farmland use with the addition of one single-family dwelling. This fits with the vision from the Tiverton Community Comprehensive Plan, which looks to maintain rural character within the South Tiverton area. Under 3.2, a vision for Tiverton, it states that the residential growth should be less dense and rural residential style development in South Tiverton. The rural character of South Tiverton should be preserved with low density residential developed according to the principles of conservation design. Under 6.1, housing supply and demand, it states the residential growth should be Tivertonians have consistently voiced their desire that the Tiverton's rural character and agricultural heritage be maintained and protected. Number 2, the proposed development is in compliance with the standards and provisions of the town zoning ordinance. Barboza Estates, 267 King Road, Plat 510, lot 109, a 14.16 acre property will be divided into 2 lots, with lot 1 being 11.6 acres and lot 2 being 2.57 acres. This is more than adequate minimum lot size for a single family dwelling in an R80 zoning district. The lot width, front, rear, and side yard setbacks and building coverage all conform to the Tiverton zoning district, except the side yard setback on lot 2 and the lot width on lot 1. The applicant obtained dimensional variances for these 2 exceptions from the zoning board of review at their February 28th, 2020 meeting, with a decision recorded on March 2nd, 2020, book 1765, page 222 through 224. 3, there will be no significant negative environmental impacts from the proposed development as shown on the final plan, with all required conditions for approval. Barboza Estates minor subdivision proposal obtained a significant alteration permit from the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, application number 20-0152 on September 29th, 2020. DEM has also found no significant alterations to freshwater wetlands will take place if the terms and conditions for the permit are met. In addition, the proposed on-site wastewater treatment application was approved by DEM on August 9th, 2018, application number 1733-0920. 4, the proposed development will not result in the creation of individual lot areas parcels with such physical constraints to development that the building on those lots, areas, parcels in accordance with pertinent regulations and building standards would be impracticable unless such lots, areas, parcels are identified as permanent open space or are to be permanently reserved for public purpose on the proposed recorded plans. And was the next one, but I answered Barboza Estates will be divided into 2 lots with, and lot 1 will continue to be a single family dwelling with on-site wastewater treatment system. Lot 2 proposes 2,030 square feet for single family home with adequate on-site wastewater treatment system and will not significantly impact freshwater wetlands on the property. 5, all proposed land developments and all subdivision lots have adequate and permanent physical access to public street. I said Barboza Estates minor subdivision has adequate and permanent physical access to King Street. The newly created lot 1 have less than required lot width, but has obtained zoning variance from the Tiverton Zoning Board with the decision recorded in land use records.
All right, so do we have a motion to approve these 5 findings of fact?
I have a correction.
Well, let's get to the discussion. Do we have a motion first?
So moved.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the findings of fact.
Okay, is there a second?
I thought all right, I'll second it.
Okay, all right.
So now, Rosemary, I think we both have the same issue. Go ahead, Rosemary.
Well, you know, Stu didn't do this, so, you know.
It was very good. It's King Road, not King Street.
Oh.
Okay, just do.
Road, okay.
Okay. All right.
Stu, is that the same one?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I think on the printed version it said King Road.
I think I just said it as King Street.
Right.
Oh.
Okay, so we have to amend the motion to correct that to King Road, I guess. Stu, you want to amend that to say King
Yes.
Road?
Yes,
All right.
yes,
Rosemary, you
yes.
second that amended
Yes.
motion?
Yes.
So moved.
All right, amended. Okay. So we have a motion and a second to approve these 5 findings of fact. Any further discussion? Okay, we'll go through the roll call. Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Sue? Sue?
Yes.
All right, and my vote is positive. All right, so we have a positive 7 votes. Okay, so the last item then is to a motion to approve this preliminary plan conditional on based on the 7 conditions previously noted.
I would make that motion.
Conditional preliminary,
Plan approval.
right.
So is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll go ahead and vote. Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So congratulations, Mr. Barboza. This has been a long time coming. So you now have a preliminary plan approval. Your next step will be to contact the planning office if you want to get some guidance on how to file for the final.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Have a great night.
See you soon, hopefully.
Yay.
Okay. I know for the
There we go.
members, that was a pretty kind of a disjointed presentation. We started working on this one over 2 years ago, and we've had a lot of discussions about it. So you guys got the real Reader's Digest version of it, but it's usually not quite that, I don't know, light for review. Okay, so we'll go on to item number 3, which is Highland Ridge Farm LLC. We have amendment of a final plan, Budway extension, Plat 310, lot 112, east side Highland Road, north side Budway, north side Old Bogomarsh Road, R40 zoning district, review and possible vote. This item has been continued from November 10th, 2020. So I'd like to know who's here on behalf of this petition.
Hi, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Elizabeth Noonan. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Adler, Pollock and Sheehan, and I represent Highland Ridge Farm, and I believe Mr. Chase should also be on this call also.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, can I
I do
say?
see him. I do see him. Yes.
You see him? Hey, Peter, it's Beth Noonan from LRI. How are you?
I was just gonna say, when I saw your image pop up, that's a familiar face. Hello.
That's-
Happy New Year.
that's- Happy New Year to you. Nice to see you. I didn't know you were in Tiverton, so. Great. Thanks so much to everyone. If you thought the last one was in the last 2 years, this one goes back much, much further. what we've done now, and this is really today, I'd like to view this as a conceptual or a pre-app application matter. Back in 1988, it was March 17th, 1988, St. Patrick's Day, the Budway Extension subdivision received final approval, okay? And what we've sent to you is a copy of those plans as well as our proposed amendment that we submitted back in July of 2020. Since that time, Jennifer, myself, and Mike Marcello have been in discussions regarding this piece of property on a number of issues. When we started in July, the initial idea was really just to get some cuts into the property. And so if you take a look at the first sheet of the plan, the one that is stamped that we submitted to you, it shows the layout of the initial road that was approved. Okay, that road has never been constructed. Let's just make that clear. It's not in existence at all.
Let me share my screen here.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer.
Is that?
We'll get to that one. Yeah, but that's actually a good one. That's actually a great one to use, to be honest with you. Thank you. Okay. So if you look at what's in the pink there, that was the original approved 1988. So let's call it the 1988 road. Mr. Chase and Highland Ridge Farm have subsequently acquired the property. And in the interim between 1988 and I don't know the exact date, there is a house in the middle of that roadway. Okay, it's kind of in the center of the property there if you see it. So that's a problem. So what we're proposing to do is to create a new road along sort of the general lines that were there before to circumvent where that house was constructed, obviously post 1988, pre today. And so what we wanted to do was to bring this to the planning board as an amendment to the final plan that's under Rhode Island General Laws 45, 23, 65, and Section 2350 of your ordinances. Now, for those of you, and I'm new to this project myself, so any new members join me because I've learned about this project, with Mr. Chase over the last, year or so. But a couple years ago, Mr. Chase and his counsel then, Mr. Landry, submitted a full master plan submission for a great amount of development. That was ultimately withdrawn. My point in saying that, though, is we have engineering on this property. This is not just a cocktail napkin drawing. We did have plans submitted to Jennifer that were that master plan going back to 2016, but we thought it might confuse the issue at this point because we're not looking to put in, there was a senior housing component to it and all sorts of things. So what we really want to do is sort of, get things started with the road, recognizing that this house was constructed in the middle of it, which is honestly, obviously it's a physical problem for us, could be a potential issue for the town that the construction was allowed. So we thought, let's avoid some of those issues. Let's circumnavigate the house with this proposed road. And if it needs, we'll see what processes it needs to go through, but be very aware that we, Principe Engineering has worked on this property for years. We have the information. We just at this point did not submit all of the, the cuts and the cross sections and everything like that. So that is what is up for, I'll say, consideration tonight. Obviously, if you want to vote to approve that road, we'll take it from you. We'll take it. But we really wanted to get the board, back looking at this, recognizing that we have a 1988 final plan approval that now cannot be physically implemented, and that this is the alternative that we are looking to do. So that is, I think, in a nutshell, where we are.
I have a couple of questions. One is
Jennifer. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So the second sheet that shows that the Budway extension, that's the plan that's stamped approved. But then when I went to the sheet that shows that other road. It's never been, it was stamped, but it was never signed and submitted. So I don't know if that's actually valid. Or if
Well,
it
I
only shows Budway extension. And your whole application is for the Budway extension, which this road that you're now proposing, it is not. It has-
Well, let me just.
Can I clarify the submissions?
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So back in the summer, we got a submission of what was supposed to be a recorded plan. It's a little different than what the recorded plan was. So I think that it might have not been signed, as Sue said. Well, we also got a submission for an engineered drawing, but it wasn't for this new proposed road. It was for like an engineered drawing of the, it's not the recorded drawing, but so there was a drawing that was just kind of line drawing that was recorded as your approved, as you're saying is your approved road. And what we got in the summer was an engineered from Principe, engineered drawing of that same road. So it wasn't any different. It was just had engineering behind it. So what I'm showing you today with this proposed road was something that Tom had given me, and I was told not to give, to pass on, to not confuse things until Friday. So I didn't want to pop it in front of the planning board because it really wasn't officially submitted. So, but I thought this would help with understanding what you wanted to do.
But this is not anything to do with Budway. This is a totally separate road. This is a new street.
No.
It connects Borgomarsh and Budway, but it has nothing to do with Budway.
But well, just go back, when we say Budway extension, that was the name of the subdivision back in '88.
Right, with those 4 lots that were created.
7, I believe.
That's the, well, yeah. Yeah, 1, 2, yeah. That went to the cul-de-sac, that went to the end point. But I mean, that's whatever. I mean, that's semantics, but it's just for clarity. This is not a Budway road. This is a new road. So for any road that you want to create, that has to go for a public hearing, first of all. And I'm just not sure why you're building a road in and out. So for what purpose?
Well, actually, the issue is that as this is the road in pink for what we're looking at right now, that's the approved road from the final plan for the Budway Extension Subdivision. That's what they called it versus some other name. And under your regulations, for any changes to the recorded plans, the planning board determines whether the changes are major or minor. So that's ultimately what you have to make the decision right now, okay? Is whether the changes are major or minor. So this is a road, the way that I look at this, and I believe legally is correct, is that this is a road that was approved back in '88, sort of the very angular pink road, if you will, that is rendered physically impossible to construct now due to the presence of a home in the middle of it. So what has been proposed is what we will be asking for officially. This is, again, really a conceptual stage, if you will, to determine major or minor, is that we are proposing an alternate way to construct or to lay out at this point a road that has already been approved by the town of Tiverton. We have vested rights to that road. Now, because it is physically impossible to build, we are proposing a change. If the town wishes to have that house removed so we can put in the original road, we can discuss that, but I don't think that makes any sense. So instead, what we'd be looking for is a modification to the 1988 plan.
I don't believe it could be a modification because it has to go for a public hearing. That would put it in a different category. It's a street or street extension, whatever you're going to call it, requires public hearing process. So that can't be like an amended final plan decision. Is this going to be a public street?
I believe it was approved as a private street.
May I say something? Beth, this is Rosemary Eva. I was
Thank
on
you.
the planning board in 1988 and was
Oh.
part of this plan. And we were under different rules and regulations then, not under the State Enabling Act. And Mr. Jerome came in and did these subdivisions or approval not requires, whatever you wanted to call them. This was a private road. And looking at the plans that were finally presented to us, this phasing plan, I do not believe should have been in the recorded. The other thing was with the plans that we received, one of them has a locus, as you mentioned, that is not what or Jennifer mentioned, is not what is in the land evidence books, the plan book. There's no locus on the one that's recorded. There, on the one that we have, was given to us. There's a mock over of the zone. I mean, where did these plans come from that we got?
Are you saying that the stamp from the town of Tiverton
I don't.
are not accurate? Is not true?
I'm saying the one that is not the one that we received that has the hatch marks. It says phase plan.
Right. But that's not signed. That's the thing I'm asking is it's not signed and dated.
Right.
Well, I don't know if it's actually, is it valid if it's not assigned and dated? Is it recorded? Is it in land evidence?
Where did we get it from?
Yeah, so Beth, to clarify, we got a submittal. I think Tom Principe sent it to us with his engineered plan, and it's different than what is recorded.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting because
What's the recorded plan?
what is this?
We don't have the recorded plan,
There is recorded plans in the land use records.
so we don't have that.
They submitted was different. It was only slightly different. It looks very much similar, but there's some numbers on it that are different, and so it's not the.
It's not- So what we have is not reflective of what the recorded plan is.
Right.
This is a concept.
Kept coming into us, and he would piecemeal a plan. He would come in for 3 lots. He would come in for 4 lots. And we were always after him to bring in a master plan, and he didn't do it. I mean, we had problems with Budway. It remained private. The former DPW director had a problem with a cul-de-sac. The Budway was off center. I mean, we were giving him approval of lots. He was doing the road at that time. It was private. It was not the town's road.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that if we went forward with any road modification, I need to be clear, we need to clean it up, the recorded plan versus what Principe is using. Is that one? Okay. So-
Whatever your recorded plan is, we haven't seen that. We don't have that. But I'm saying this is go for a public hearing because it's a road. We can't approve a road, street extension without a public hearing. So you'd have to go back to at least preliminary plan for that. And I don't know.
Yes.
And if you're just drawing a road through here, are you just going to have it be empty lots? It's going to be one big empty lot with a road through it.
Well, at this time, my client intends to begin extracting some materials from there and developing some lots. So we would, if there were lots developed, we would come back for those lots to be developed. And then the extraction goes forward, and we've had discussions with Mr. Marcello and Ms. Siciliano on that, but those are, I think, the propriety of those are a separate question. What I'm trying to get a handle at, and I don't disagree, Madam Chair, I'm not asking you to, I don't believe you can approve this road necessarily, especially tonight if you're telling me it doesn't match the recorded the recorded plans. But the point is, that this road needs to be changed. And you're the planning board, you're the only ones that can do that. And so I'm bringing this to show to you, I guess, one, Rosemary, I appreciate historical perspective on it. But I mean, assuming that the recorded plan, at least as to the road, is accurate, what is stamped that says Tiverton Planning Board, and we'll get, I'm sure Principe should have the recorded plans, but that first sheet that is dated March 17th, 2088, that gives us the layout, and that's what we're looking at altering for the road extension.
Well, I'm a little confused. I took the plan that was sent out to the members of the planning board that purports at least to be the final approved plan of Budway Extension subdivision from 1988. I took and of course, as I hope we all understand, Budway has been extended into a brand new subdivision called William Barton Estates. And so if you go to the end of the old cul-de-sac on Budway, you can now drive through on a street called Raiders Way into the William Barton subdivision. But the original plan that I have, and then I took out today, shows something called a future road going off the cul-de-sac, not in the direction of the William Barton Estates, but I believe in a westerly orientation. So I read the minutes. Tara was kind enough to send out the minutes from the 7 or 8 meetings that were held back in 87 and 88 by the planning board. And there's nothing to talk about a future road. I think it's labeled as a future road on the plan that I have that purports to be the approved final plan from 1988. The minutes do have some discussion about tying Budway back into new Bulgamarsh Road, not old Bulgamarsh, but new Bulgamarsh Road. And perhaps Mr. Jerome owned that land at the time. I don't think that that's part of the current applicant's land holding, but there was discussion. But there's nothing on the plan to show that was ever done. So maybe Rosemary can tell us, because she was on the board at that time, and there was also a great deal of discussion about how the poor condition of Budway, but the minutes do not reflect what is shown on the 1988 final plan. I also noticed, and I think maybe Elizabeth Noonan has already referred to this, if you try to build a road on what is labeled as future road on the 1988 final plan, you would have to go right through a house that's been built there. And the address of that house is 170 Budway. So that appears to be the reason why that is no longer a possibility. But I'm very confused because the minutes and the final plan don't correspond entirely. Rosemary, can you shed any light on that?
Well, you touched on.
Do you remember any discussion about putting a future road into what is now the applicant's property? I didn't see it in the minutes, but the minutes were not done, were not all that informative.
I remember this Budway coming in as a private way. Mr. Jerome coming in with a few lots here and a few lots there. I mean, and the 3 sheets that we received really, as you say, confused me, because I don't think this one that says phase plan on it, and it, I think, came out of the file. That should never have been recorded. I think it was a worksheet that shows, this contention of, I think what they're trying to say is Bud Way, but Bud Way was a private road and it was developed under the old standards. And then as far as it being accepted by the town, that was one of the conditions of William Barton. They had to connect. And years ago, you couldn't have a 600-foot road. I mean, there were a lot of different conditions. But
I understand. Submit an application. I think it has to come back. This isn't even Bud Way, first of all.
No, you're right. It's a phase.
Bud Way, but it's a totally different road. So first of all, it needs to be submitted as something different. And that's why I'm wondering, if you just submit a road plan, would it just go back as a master plan? I mean, I don't even know what stage this is. Is this considered a major land development master plan? I mean, this has nothing to do with Bud Way. When I'm looking at it, it intersects down at Old Bulger Marsh Road and where the Bud Way extension cul-de-sac ended. These are just intersections. It has nothing to do with Bud Way. So first of all, I think it's a totally new application. If you're proposing a road without any development, it's just a loop around. I don't even know, does that qualify as a major land development or road? But then it would have to all be done to town standards. And it would require a public.
Actually, what occurred to me is it even within the jurisdiction of the planning board? Because we're talking about a private road or a private driveway or a private farm lane, whatever it is, whatever the pink is, on private land.
Well, I think
so. If I want to put a driveway in my backyard, I might have to talk to DPW and say, "Can I have a new curb cut to put a driveway in?" But I don't have to go to the planning board.
Right. Well, that's what I was wondering too. But if it is a road, it would have to come to the planning board only for the fact that it would require a public hearing. It couldn't go, if it's a road, it can't go to DPW, whether it's public or private, right, Jennifer? Even if it's a private road, I don't know.
So I think that the process for, if we accept that it was an approved road, which I think is questionable.
Right.
If we were amending, doing a major amendment to a final plan of 1988, then according to state law and our statutes, it says it should go back to preliminary plan review and include a public hearing.
Okay.
But I still think it's, I think you're questioning whether, honestly, 1988, I don't know what the subdivision, was it a major subdivision then? I don't know.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
No.
So it doesn't, so it's not like a modification of a major subdivision. It's different. Right.
Well, legally, I'm not sure that follows. We have an approved, in my view, and we'll establish this, obviously, an approved final plan. Now, obviously, it changed with the enabling legislation. And as we all, know that prior to the enabling legislation, the rules were pretty loosey-goosey for all the municipalities on how subdivisions were approved, hence the enabling legislation. But, there was an approved final plan. We'll get Principe to put that together, and I will stand on that unless I'm dissuaded. And then the question is, we want to alter the roadway configuration. So that's on that tree. Then the question is, does it need, to Mr. Hardy's point, if it's a private road, can we just build it and then we deal with the curb cuts? if we're going in, say hypothetically, just hypothetically, we're going to do another subdivision similar to, to the William Barton Estates, then we would come to, we need to come to you, show you OWTS, the whole issue like that. So I think what we're looking to go to is, like I said, I'll say that it's an approved final plan. I don't think the fact that we're now in a different statutory scheme under the enabling legislation changes the process. I still think we're under the question of how do you modify a final plan, and it's major or a minor is really the threshold question for this board to decide. And if, however they decide, then you go one way or the other. If you say it's a private road and we only have to deal with DPW, then you won't have to see us again. That's easier too, until we come back with another development. Hence the reason why we're coming to you tonight. This is old, there's a lot of issues, and we're looking for obviously some history, some input, and how our next step forward will proceed. We may not agree on how to proceed, but we wanted to get it out there and go from there. So that's where
I would like, I'm sorry for
please.
talking too much here, but I would like to have a legal determination on whether or not this is in fact a modification of the 1988 Budway extension subdivision, or if this is a brand new application proposal that will apparently eventually involve housing and possibly quarrying activity. So are we really talking about a modification of what was approved in 1988? I don't see that on the plans because the new proposed road, the road that you're proposing, that does not go as far east as the cul-de-sac, but maybe 100 yards or so west of where the cul-de-sac is. That's not on the 1988 plan at all, anywhere. What is on the 1988 plan is something called Future Road, which is not reflected in the minutes. So I would think that we would need a determination on whether this is an amendment or if it's a brand new application. And if it's a brand new application, I think it should not be just a road where we're approving a road to be built and then someday we'll find out what's going to be on that road. I would like to see a full formal plan for the entire property, because the new road goes through the entire property, to know exactly what the applicant is proposing to build there. And I think that people of the town of Tiverton and the neighbors also would like to know what's going to be proposed there. And then we would start with go through our usual process of master plan, preliminary plan, final plan with public hearings. And we wouldn't be talking about just a road. We don't even know if this road is going to be 40 feet wide and paved and up to town standards, or if it's I've heard it was going to be a farm road, and then some other, at other times it's been referred to as a driveway. So I think we need to make those determinations, and I think we need legal help to do that.
The other thing I think we have to have the recorded plan that shows this. I mean, I can't accept this third page that's not signed as de facto. This is a recorded plan. It's not signed. It's stamped, but it's not signed. So if it's different, one, we need the old plan that's actually been recorded. I think too, if you're going to start talking about pouring in houses, this is going to be some kind of major land development, because and then you have to figure out what kind of frontage you have, if this is a private road versus if it's going to be a town road. Because if you want to start doing residential in there, how you're going to have to design it for frontage. or whether it's going to be rural residential. So I think there's just too many questions as far as what how you're going to do the road based on what you're going to do around it.
Sorry. On that page you're just referring to, Madam Chair, that's not signed, is that the one that's dated handwritten, says 3/17/88 with someone signing it, and then 1710C, I assume is the recording information?
Oh, I see that. Yeah, that's the one, because it's
So,
stamped fine. So I don't know. If that's,
I mean, if the town, I mean, I've been operating under the position, and it could be wrong, that this was an approved final plan. I thought legally in my conversations with Mr. Marcello, that that's where we were, Mr. Hardy, and that was, we were talking about a modification of this plan that, although may not be signed on the stamp, we do have what looks like a date, a stamp, a recording date, and someone's name that, hold on one second.
That name is the former chairman.
Okay.
I recognize that, but I would say that that plan is a work plan, that it should not have been recorded. If it was recorded, I don't know, because when back in the day, and nobody wanted to know anything, that we would be doing lots, and Mr. Jerome would come in with his private road, and it was private at the time that this, and it wasn't the other subdivision that the planning board required that it be sort of be accepted by the town. To go through the wind lot.
I'm sorry, I'm having a difficult time hearing.
I'm sorry, Beth.
That's it. Thanks, Rosemary.
I just think that this plan is a work plan, that it doesn't go along with the lots that came in, what is it, 7 lots that were coming in, because when Mr. Jerome started down at the bottom of Old Bulgamash, he would just come in and cut out a few lots and have them approved. And then as Stu said, I read the minutes again, and the neighbors were very upset about the condition of the road. And I don't want to bring personalities into it, but this is what would happen. And he would tell us he would do something and he wouldn't do it.
yes, I don't know, Jennifer. I mean, what I'd like to see is whatever the actual recorded plan is that reflects that shows.
Well, I have it up here.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go, Jennifer. Please put it up.
And also, if I don't know if it comes back
This
as
is the recorded plan. It's
Signed and approved.
it is book 17.
why does it say unofficial copy and screw?
This is, I think, sure, they all of them have that on there. I don't,
Jennifer, could you enlarge it a little, please?
Could you make that bigger? I can't.
yeah, let's see if I can.
The plans that I have seen that relate to this
They were different.
application
They were different.
are
Where did they come
impossible
from?
to understand. So
I'm gonna
if
try to-
that's much better. Now, can somebody please walk us through? We are being told now that this plan is the plan that was approved in 1988. This plan, I haven't seen this one.
This is different than what you got submitted, but
Yes.
I just looked up on land use records, and this is what's on land use records from 1988. But this was
Okay, could you take a marker and show us where Budway is, just so everybody's clear?
Let's see if I can.
Can I also make a point? This is Beth. We did send this plan to you as part of our.
It's a little different.
We didn't get it, Beth. We got a different one.
No,
I've never seen
I am,
this one.
no, wait. I am looking at what I sent to everybody. I've got this. I sent on July 3rd, 3 sheets plus the Principe plan. And this was the 3rd of the 3 sheets. I don't know if that didn't get transmitted to everybody. And Jennifer, I can double check.
No. So if you look at page 2, which is on this, you'll see the numbers are different on the bottom. that it's definitely a different plan. It's almost like a work plan of some sort, something from a file.
Okay,
It was different than this.
I see. Okay, you're right. I see.
See?
But it doesn't have, does this one have recording info on it too? Yeah, it does.
This
Okay.
does, yes.
Okay.
So
all right.
this plan does comport with the minutes in that it shows an extension going off Bud Way, coming back onto Bulgamarsh Road, Route 177, that we still have in town here. Not Old Bulgamarsh Road, but the new one. And there was considerable discussion about the importance or the need. I didn't see any vote taken. I think a lot of things were done sort of by consensus back in those days. And then where you see the cul-de-sac, that's where the new Raiders Way Road, which is part of the William Barton Estates, would be. So that spur that goes off Bud Way, heading in a southerly direction, would tie back in with Bulgamarsh. It was never built. So that's the road apparently that was approved. At least the minutes just had a long discussion about that. Rosemary never made any comments, but
we went to
Mr.
the
Roberts thought
cul-de-sac.
some others did.
We went to the cul-de-sac. On the plan that I have that was given to me, Beth, has a legend to the right, and it says phase plan. Phase 1, it's like a hatch check. Phase 2 has
Yep.
another.
Yep.
Okay, that's the one. It's up in the
Green. Yeah.
But that we did not approve that.
But
I don't think it should. I think it was a work plan. I do not think it should have been, because
But-
the other two.
But it was
pages.
approved. It was
That was
approved.
approved
I
by
know,
Paul
but
Melanson.
by vote, I think it was a work plan of the planning board. It should have been recorded.
Well, it got recorded though.
Well, if that's I mean, I'm not going to hold anyone
Yeah.
to a thing, because I think Mr. Hardy may have been right that you want a legal determination. But
Right.
if you're now taking the position that this is not a final plan, that's problematic, I think. I understand what you may be saying, but when as someone comes in and pulls a plan and looks at it,
Right.
it's final. I don't care in a way what the minutes say, not to be, callous
Yeah.
about it, but I don't care. I've got a final plan that I wave to high heaven. Now what happened subsequently to it, I don't know, but as you said, the road wasn't built, as shown for the most part. That's the
Sure.
road that we want to reconfigure due to the change in conditions, i.e. a house being in the middle of it.
So excuse me, I'm not being argumentative. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
trying to understand. Is this, are you saying that this is the final plan? This is what you're waving in the air as the final plan?
I believe it is, yes.
Okay, that's fine. Because now this shows a spur going south to Bulgamarsh Road, Route 177.
Yeah.
It also shows a spur going in the opposite direction up by the 7 house lots, that sort of creates a square and then comes back to Old Bulgamarsh Road, I believe. Or
Yep.
maybe Bud Way.
Yep.
No, Old Bulgamarsh
Yeah,
Road.
you're right.
Old
You're right.
Bulgamarsh on that side, yeah.
So that is the plan that was approved, and that's the plan that you can build right now. Is that what you're saying?
Well, except, that's again, subject unless there's something different,
Mr. Miller's house.
except there's a house. Now, if you go back with the one we showed originally with our proposed alternate,
okay. This
sketch
is-
of an alternate plan.
Okay, this is not 170 Bud Way. This is another house.
Right.
And that would be a house up by where it shows the 7 house lots. Okay.
Yeah, so what
Yep.
is 170 yeah, that's the house, yeah.
Aren't
That
there
The
doesn't,
Hammerhead lot.
Aren't there 2 houses up there?
Yes. Yes.
I think there
Mr.
was-
Mello and Mr. Jerome.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
think it's really one that this road goes through, so.
No, it goes through both.
It goes through both?
Goes
Okay.
through both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two sons.
Okay.
Well, it was the two sons. It
I
was
mean,
John
yeah.
and Stephen, and now it's Mr. Mello and Mr. Jerome.
Correct.
But the Hammerhead lot that had a lot of conversation, this 1988 final plan location goes directly through or underneath his house.
Right.
Mr. Mello's house?
Yes, right through it. So that's why we want to go around Mr. Mello's property, around Mr. Jerome's property, and come out to the east side of Bud Way. The one of the things on the recorded 102C, where that cul-de-sac is shown at the south side of the to be built road, or a what do you call it? Future road. That was the original cul-de-sac. If I look at my plan here, and I do need a magnifying glass on this one, Plat 310 lot 135 is the lot that's now the notated lot 11 on the east side of the squared off piece that we're looking for modification upon.
How many subdivisions have there been since this was approved?
Just the Raiders Way on Ed's old property. It was just Raiders Way, as far as
No.
I know.
No. The Hammerhead
Oh, the Hammerhead and Steve's lot.
and Steve's lot.
Yep.
Rosemary, do you know how those were done? Did they come in as amendments or?
Oh, they came in.
But I mean, but how, do you know?
They came in.
They did.
Beth, I would love to go into town hall and research, but I can't. And every time I ask a question, I get shot down. So,
Well, the book 17, page 102, A, B, and C, in the recorded documents at the town, each of those 102A, 102B, and 102C, Paul Melanson signed on all of them as final approval. This is just a continuation of the 7 lots, I guess, at the end of Bud Way.
but was it
Is
done
the-
under, as Beth says, how was it done? Was it done under the subdivision the Enabling Act legislation, or was it done under the old? I mean,
Well, it was-
does this negate by the Hammerhead going through that? Does that negate it? I'm not a lawyer.
I would think not. It was there previous.
I'm not a lawyer, neither are you, Tom.
No,
Well,
no, I
that's,
know.
you did sort of hit the nub of the issue that Jennifer and Mike and I have been grappling with. And so in lieu of either saying it negates it, which would get us into a lawsuit on my side, me bringing a lawsuit, or us plowing through those 2 houses with a previously approved road, which would not be good either. That's the reason for an alternate road, which is really a change of conditions. So that's
I would
where.
say if this was proposed as, these were future road spurs, so you're calling this a road.
Yeah.
You come back, if you want to come back at a concept, but a preliminary plan stage, because I think if you're going to want to build houses or whatever, you need to figure out if you're going to have the frontage you need. You're going to need to know if you have the development that you want, and then it can go for the public hearing. I think that's the best route, because there's just so many questions, and then we could get a legal determination and any other issues. These are projected as future roads, so I don't think you could change it from a road to a driveway at this point. And then depending on what your uses are for the lot, I don't know if that will determine if it's going to be a public or a private street. And I know Tom's well aware of it, some of us are, that this is a very difficult thing to engineer. And so far to date, we've never had adequately engineered access to this development. So before we can even grant anything like that, we'd have to have fully engineered plans of how you're gonna access this point to get there. And then depending on what you wanna do in the road, if it's gonna meet standards for the plan of the road.
We've never gotten a master plan as we asked
From whom? Rosemary, what do you mean a master plan?
from Mr. Jerome.
Oh, well.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
of the land. I mean, they were,
Do any other members of the board have any questions? I was just kind of a convoluted historical property, but you know, if anybody else has questions they want to try and ask about it. I know, Travis, do you want to weigh in on anything? As far as giving them any additional guidance on how this should proceed?
No, this hearing's actually uncovered a lot more than we came in here with the with I think what Beth had originally said is this going to be a major or minor, and we going back to preliminary or not? I'm leaving it with a lot more questions. So I think that it's what Stu had mentioned is prudent, making some digging into this a little bit and making some determination, and then if it is more than just a amendment to what was already a final approval, then that's going to take some digging and some reasoning.
Right, and it's not going to be kind of a casual determination. It's got to be a chapter and verse. I won't be satisfied with, oh yeah, they can do it. No, I want to see chapter and verse from law and case law that might apply to this, to see, because we're talking about something that was done way back in 1988. So there must be similar situations that perhaps our Supreme Court has addressed, if not the state legislature. And I would not be satisfied with anything less than a really thoroughly researched ruling on the part of our legal counsel.
I think we need that. And I think by changing the design of the road, the shape of the road would change it from a minor to a major. And again, allow for the public hearing process. It would be good a disservice if we don't do the public hearing, because this is a difficult access point in this neighborhood. So do you have enough information, Beth, to move forward with this?
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps us understand where your thoughts are, the history, which is helpful, Rosemary, especially, and Stuart, that's helpful. You know, I have my views, and Travis and Mike and I may battle a little bit on that and decide how we're going to approach it. You know, we do have engineering on board, so we could show all those things. But, you know, legally, like I said,
the engineering was questioned not only by our town consulting engineer, but also by the then DPW director, Bill Anderson. There were environmental issues. There were human health and safety issues. There was issues of removing huge amounts of ledge on one of the proposed. So what was done in the past on engineering will have to be revisited very carefully to make sure that the engineering that's being proposed fits with all of our town and state laws and regulations, and particularly with the new 2015 version of the stormwater runoff, which is a huge issue on this site. So please don't assume that what Principi Engineering has done in the past is going to fly.
Mr. Hardy, what when you're talking about what was done in the past, when are you talking about 88 or was it some other time period?
I'm talking about what was done, I believe, in 2018.
Right, that plan that you submitted that had.
Oh, the prior master plan for the whole thing. Okay, all right.
Exactly. The fire chief raised safety issues, there were just a lot of things. And the neighbors weren't very happy with the situation as well. So all of that has to be revisited.
Neighbors are never happy with me, Mr. Hardy, but that's what I do, so.
No, Stu's point is well taken with the neighbors.
I understand, yeah.
Back in the day, I mean, even when they were constructing it, and I remember too many things are coming back in my memory, that the DPW director at the time was having issues with blasting up there that was taking place. The road was off center. I mean, there was a boulder. There was a lot of things going on up there.
If any member of the planning board has not visited Old Bulgamarsh Road recently, I would urge you to take your car very carefully on that road, as I did today, and tell me, well, and then make a determination of what kind of access would be appropriate on such a road. Which is, by the way, one lane.
I understand that, but that all has to also be balanced against the fact that the owner of the property has a right to access their property. So we need to get it right, obviously, but they have a right to access that property.
We could go through the process. I just wanted to make comment. I know there are members in the audience that are abutters that are following this. We're not doing a public hearing tonight, but appreciate you attending, and this goes forward. You'll also see it on the agenda. And if anything develops, a butter notification most likely will go out. So
thank you.
But we are entertaining.
Sorry, Susan. Beth, if I may, I'm still concerned about the handouts that were given to us and about the future road being labeled on the two that I believe should have been recorded, but that last one, the phase plan, was a phasing, of the proposed future roads.
But the phasing, if I'm right, I mean, the single hatch are the lots and the double hatch are the roads, is that right?
It's hard to tell on here.
Yeah.
The Bud Way was just going through, we addressed lots being subdivided, I mean, and I think Kamal was the engineer and he spelled the name wrong, and that's in the minutes of being corrected, which didn't seem to get corrected. But, we always refer to it as Bud Way, the portion in front of the lots. I mean, that was the extension, not that big square around it.
Right, understood. So
if we if we can get some of our legal opinion on this when it comes back to us, also from our attorney, from our solicitor, if there's any research, if there's any cases, similar cases, but we'll definitely need some legal guidance on this. So I'm putting Travis on notice.
I think Mike, certainly Mike and Jennifer know that too, so it's not a surprise to them. Right. Well, thank you for your time and discussion on this matter, and we will move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye, Peter.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Yep. Okay, item number 4 is administrative officer report, December. I don't know, Jennifer, did you?
It's still in the works. It's close. So when I finish it, I will send it on to everyone before the next meeting.
Okay.
By the end of the day, by the end of the week.
Okay. I guess.
Quick question.
Is there any
question for you, Susan?
Oh, yes.
Hi, Susan. Just a quick question. Do you wish, this is Rick DPW, to stay on?
As-built.
Oh, the as-built? We could move that one up next if you want to do that. It's just if you had any final comments for the as-built checklist.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll move that up and do that next, okay? Because then I think you can go after that.
Well, okay, well, that's fine. Yes, whenever you would like my comments on that, that's fine.
We'll do that item as soon as we finish this. Okay. Is there anything in the oral? I guess we could get an oral AO report on anything.
There are things coming down the pike.
Yeah, we can just give it.
ATM, I didn't get a chance to look at it. It just came in, I believe, today. that I had mentioned previously. It's going to go where the Dollar General is. So that'll be coming down the pike.
That's a freestanding building?
Yes, it'll be a freestanding drive-through ATM. It is just a design review that the building inspector has told them that they need to come through planning.
Okay.
So they did that, and there is an ERS coming as well.
Is that an accessory building?
It won't yet. Well, I think maybe it's another building. It's kind of unclear because it is a drive-through ATM, so there's no one in it. So I'll have to clarify with Bill.
Yeah, we'll need some kind of zoning determination letter from him.
It's a little cloudy there.
Okay.
Jennifer, is that the main road location?
Yes, that one.
I know we have the distinction of having $2
$2 Generals.
The $2 General. You haven't heard anything from Brayton Solar yet? They haven't submitted?
Brayton Solar, no, not an official petition yet.
Right.
And Seasons Gas Station.
Where's that?
Yeah, they have not submitted anything, but that will be coming too. I have not seen any submittals.
I saw some heavy equipment up there the other day.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen some heavy equipment in there too. They're doing something.
Oh, so they should.
But I don't think it's the corner lot, Rosemary. I think it's the bigger lot.
Right, right.
Where is the that you just said is gonna go season?
It's on the corner of Sousa and Main.
Oh, okay.
Very, very corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's second.
So Jennifer, I just wanted to ask if you've had a chance to do the written decisions on the 3 decisions that we made back in mid-December, I believe December 15 meeting. We did preliminary plan approval for Bill's sales, and we did both we did both preliminary and final plan approval in the same meeting for Advantage Self-Storage. And so typically what happens is that the AO writes those decisions up in written form and posts them in town hall. And I looked today when I picked up my mail and didn't see them. They need to be posted so that the public can read them, and then there's, I believe, a 60-day appeal period when any member of the public can appeal the decision. But those written decisions need to get up on the board pretty quick.
Yeah.
And on your website, of course.
Well, do you usually record? Now I have to do the preliminary, but the final decision, isn't it usually recorded with the final plan? I know that.
Yeah.
Because this is a land development, not a major subdivision.
No, it's a major land development.
I'll talk. Yeah.
Major land development. All decisions have to be recorded and posted.
Recorded, right.
And posted, so they have the 20-day appeal period.
Okay.
There's a 20-day appeal period.
Yeah.
Just to interject though, because given no one can access town hall, there's no way the public is going to see those. So shouldn't we be posting those on the website or making them otherwise available virtually?
Yeah, you have to figure out a way to do it because we used to post them.
Yeah. I'll talk to Mike about making it public. How
we did the one solar one on the window by the front door. So
you've been doing that.
Posted one there, but if you have multiples, because they used to always be posted in town hall, but maybe we just have to put them on the website. I don't know.
Well, usually they record the decisions on land use evidence records, and anyone can get into those. But I don't know if anyone would know.
Right.
Okay.
But it's a question of knowledge, right? If people wouldn't know where to go to look.
Right, other than town hall.
But why not put it just up on the planning department website?
We could, yeah.
Right. Yeah, because people are interested, that's where they
Let me,
go.
yeah. I'll clarify that.
Mike and see what he recommends as far as it has to be publicly available.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I could definitely.
Okay.
I have a question on Mandros. Did you find out if that's a contaminated junkyard?
You know, I did contact DEM and haven't gotten an answer, but I will.
Okay.
I will. You know how jog my memory and I.
So we have a tradition that goes back as long as I can remember, maybe not as long as Rosemary can remember, but a tradition of bringing administrative subdivisions such as Mandros to the attention of the planning board just to see if anybody has a red flag. Of course, the AO is authorized by state law to go ahead and approve and record approve an administrative subdivision. These are just an administrative subdivision typically is not controversial because it's usually just a merger of a couple of lots into a single lot, or maybe the moving of an existing lot line, but not creating a new lot. But every so often, something really controversial comes up. So it's best to run it by the planning board, or at least the chair of the planning board, because some people have long institutional memories, and I'm thinking of, of applications that we've had for administrative subdivisions from applicants that were really controversial. Remember General Motors on King Road a few years ago, where there's a lot of history. So I think it would be best to run that by the planning board just to see if anybody has a red flag that and would like to ask that it be brought before the planning board. We've been doing that ever since I can remember, and I've been watching this process for 20 years.
Yeah, I've been watching it for a lot longer too, and that's the reason why we have all the another reason that we have all the plans have to be signed by the chairman of the planning board, who hopefully has a lot of institutional knowledge too about these. But it is very helpful, as you say.
Because the more eyes on something, the better it is to catch little gremlins, well, we just had an example of something that was recorded back in 1988 that probably never should have been recorded. If it was recorded, we don't even know if it was recorded.
well, in all defense too, in those days we had we didn't have the help in the office. I mean, we were volunteers, and well, there were a lot of other issues too. But some things didn't get recorded, some things did get recorded.
Okay.
So,
all right, if there's no other questions, I'll move ahead so we can get Rick
Yeah.
on for him. Okay, so do I have a motion to move?
So I move that we take the agenda out of order in order to put the 6F, is it 6F, as our next agenda item.
Right, as the next item, okay.
This would be checklist for master land development.
Right, public hearing.
As built drawings.
Right, do I have a second?
So moved. A second, rather.
Right. Okay, so we'll take a vote. Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll do this one next. All right, so what we have is amended checklist and subdivision regulations, public hearing and possible vote. This item was continued from November 10th, 2020, so continuation of the public hearing. not going to start subdivision regs tonight, but I wanted to finalize the as-built, which is attachment 10. I don't know if you guys all have that still. So I tried to draft it up, amend it, the copy that we did have, and put it more in the format of the other attachments that we did. I sent it to Rick for his comments. He gave me a number of comments that then I incorporated into this. So at this point, I guess you'll see the red is what will be deleted, the blue underline is what will be added, and the black is what is existing, just as a refresher. So I know, Rick, do you have any comments if I got all the items that you wanted addressed?
I don't have a new copy, Susan, but first of all, thank you for moving up on the agenda this item, and thank you for all the work you did on these checklists. They're very valuable for not just the different departments, but for the people who are actually applying or submitting. So what, I don't have a new copy, as I said. I have your copy in that I made some modifications on that I emailed on November 9th. And my notes, there were not a lot of notes, but my notes based on DPW's understanding of the intent of the as-built checklist, I would consider just a few on, for instance, page 1. I would call it a submission of, not an application for, an as-built drawing, because I think, at least, my understanding is it's a submission for an as-built, not an application for an as-built. So that's a note on line 1 of page 1.
Yeah.
And then under where it says the 12 sets of plans. And again, this was emailed, in case it makes it easier for you, Susan, on Monday, November 9th at 3:57 p.m.
Right. I think,
And
I
the
don't know, Jennifer, do you have, or Tara, do you guys have access to this? I guess
Yeah, let me see.
I mean, I think I did incorporate all of the items that you requested. Sorry you didn't get a copy of the revised version because the way to put, because yeah, I did get that. I don't remember. Yeah, and I don't remember.
Let me see if I can find it. He must have sent it to me as well.
Yeah,
I'm
I
assuming.
remember which comments or you did do the changes that you asked.
Let's see, November.
So a quick question. A quick question, Susan, then on line 1, does it say on page 1 that this checklist is furnished by the planning board to assist in the submission of an
Yep.
as-built drawing?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Thank you. And my other notes, for instance, on page 2, were mostly dealing with the word proposed, and just on an as-built, there shouldn't really be anything proposed except possibly maybe an easement is the only thing that came to my mind. And in which case, that would be, should be actually shown on the as-built drawing with the wording proposed. But other than that, the edge of asphalt, for instance, the final shoulder grades, all those things the word proposed, I thought should be deleted.
Yeah, I think I did all.
And on that's on page 2.
Right. Yeah, I did.
Yes.
Yeah, I did.
And
and you added, what did you ask for? In number
and then
yes, for the rim and bottom elevations. I think that I added.
Here's what you wrote.
right, because those are nice to know, the actual rim elevation. And then on page 3, some of it was just, it seemed duplication and not quite with the intent of the checklist. So I just crossed out some of the wording with my on my submission.
Right.
So
yeah, I think I did.
Yeah, thank you for taking my comments into consideration. I appreciate that.
I figure you know what you need to see. So I mean, I was kind of at a loss, but I've just tried to organize it. But I figured you know what you want to see on it as built, so that's why I figured we should gear it towards what will help you. So I think we got everything on there.
Right. You did all the hard work, Susan. Again, you did all the hard work. It's very easy to then proofread it and make comments on it. So it was very easy for me to do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. All right. Does anybody else have any other comments on it or questions before we go ahead and do the vote? Okay. Do we have is there a comment from the public, Jennifer? Is there anybody out there in the public who comment? Okay.
Let me share this so I can see. No one's in the public at all.
Okay. All right. So is there a motion to approve attachment 10, the as-built drawing checklist?
I'll make a motion that we accept attachment 10 checklist for major land development, major subdivision, minor subdivision, as-built drawings.
Second.
Second. Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, go ahead and do the vote. Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Janice? Janice?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
And myself is a yes. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. So I think you're good, Rick. Good. So,
thanks, Rick.
Yeah, so I'll get a
Okay,
clean version. over-
thank you all. Have a good evening.
You too.
So,
You too.
Thank you, Susan. Good job.
Yeah, that's Joe left. So I think, yeah, what I'll do is get the clean version back to Tara, and then she can get it sent over to Dave to post on the website and have it in the office. Yeah, okay. So let's go back to.
Susan, before we leave this agenda item,
Sorry, go ahead.
do we need to continue the public hearing
Yes.
on
Right.
on subdivision regulation, amendments to the subdivision regulations? And while I'm asking that question, I'd also like to ask about the advertisement. Is the advertisement that was done some time ago actually probably a good year ago, is that advertisement, which is very detailed and very specific, is that broad enough to cover all of the issues that may come up with subdivision regulations? We don't have a whole lot more to do, I think, to bring the subdivision regulations in conformity with the comprehensive community plan. But there are some items. In fact, there are two little items in your packet tonight, which we can continue if Susan would like to continue that.
Right. Well, I forgot myself. Yeah, because in addition to that, there are a couple of other things we needed to add. So we'll need to do an additional advertisement. Because I know the fire marshal came back and said that, I don't know, something happened.
Cistern, yes.
With the state board, state fire marshal board or something. So we need to do some revising to the cistern subdivision regulation. And I know, Stu, you had your environmental site assessment one that you wanted added into.
Yes, but that's probably already covered in the advertisement.
No, it's not. It's not. I double checked. I double checked.
It references Article 10, Section 23 in the advertisement, and that's where both of those items belong.
Right. You have the one for the environmental site assessment and the land unsuitable for development.
Exactly. They both belong in Article 10, Section 23.
Well,
that's the only place that they could go. And that particular provision is mentioned in the public advertisement that was published.
Right. So if that fits, then we can do it if, you know, you want to be on.
Unless, of course, our legal counsel rules otherwise.
And then, and before we run the ad, I also want to just look and see if there's anything else that we need to do.
I would love to participate in that, Susan. I think that we need to get together and put our heads together and decide what more we might want to bring to the attention of the planning board.
Right. Well, I think there's a number of things, and one of them was mentioned at the town council last night about the whole road.
The roads, yeah.
Roads, and that's part of subdivision regulation, Article 11. So that's something that's an area that is really confusing the way it's worded. So if we could get that language cleaned up, I think that will help.
Absolutely. I'll give you a call tomorrow, Susan, if that's okay, or send you an email just to remind you.
Don't be around tomorrow, but yeah, I think before we run the ad, we should just go through it. Jennifer, you can look through it. Stu and I can look through it. Rosemary, if you want to look through it, if there's any other key items that seem to have come up, you know, lately, now would be the time to throw them into the ad, and then we can start tackling those. Because I know there's always something. Yeah, without, I mean, based on that, I guess, do we have to do a motion to request to advertise? If we have to request that additional advertisement, if we're going to advertise, like the council always requests to advertise, do we have to request?
Yeah.
Well, you're spending your own budget money. That's the only.
Okay.
Travis, I'm sorry.
So do we have to have a motion to request to advertise additional subdivision regulation amendments?
Jen, I don't know. Jen,
Never
do you
have before.
that question?
Okay. All right.
You can, but.
All right.
If it,
So we'll work on that. I was thinking maybe what we'll do is continue this public hearing to the March. Maybe, I don't think we'll have anything ready for February for sure. That's only 3 weeks away. So why don't we continue this public hearing to it would be March 2nd.
So if you're making that motion, I'll second it.
Okay. Right, motion. Stu Hardy. But I think that would be the earliest, and then that way, if there's an ad to do, that can be supplemented to that.
Great.
Okay, so this is continuing the checklist. I believe that's it for the attachments for now. So we're gonna take a vote. Time to vote. Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Eunice?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, now I can go on. All right, so we have the stuff that Stu sent along. Okay, back to item 6A, the approval of the minutes. So we have December 1st.
5A.
5A, sorry, yeah. December 1st minutes.
I got a couple.
We have a quorum to approve these, do we? I think we do tonight. 1, 2, 3.
We didn't have enough people at the last meeting, so we got them tonight, right?
Yeah, so I don't know if there's any comments. Oh, yeah, that was the quickie one, so.
Page 1.
Wow.
We have
Page 1, I think it should be Richard Rogers instead of Rick.
which line is that?
Middle of the page, page 1.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Page 2. About we're talking about Brookdale. I just added at the end of the sentence, a short discussion ensued.
For which paragraph?
On the second to the last, about after the zoning ordinance in place at the time of construction.
Discussion.
Anything else?
And then page 3. Second to the last paragraph, Miss Eva made a motion to recommend and request approval of this subdivision regulation amendments advertising at $3,000.
Motion to request and approve, is that what you said? Sorry,
No problem.
okay. All
And
right,
at last page, the annual planning board calendar and special meeting calendar. I put copies had not been distributed, and Mrs. Gill stated that this item would be continued to the next planning board meeting. Just insert copies had not been distributed. That's all I have.
For copies.
okay, so is there a motion to?
I have one correction.
Yep.
I'm listed as attending the meeting. I did not December 1 meeting.
You were absent.
No, it has that you're absent. Members
Oh,
Peter
you're listed.
and Adam were absent. Are you listed as a voter?
Oh,
Yeah, it says
Are you listed as someone voting?
First
Someone-
paragraph.
oh, no, I guess I am listed as absent. I didn't read it properly.
Okay.
So I can't vote on it. Go ahead.
Okay,
Susan,
I'll
with your
make a motion to approve as amended.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we will vote. Rosemary,
Yes.
Christine,
Yes.
Janice.
Yes.
Who was absent, so we can't vote. Steve was out. Yeah. Oh, Amanda. Amanda. Oh, yeah, Amanda, you were there. Sorry, Amanda.
Sorry, I'm talking. Yes.
Add to the yes. So it's 1, 2. Okay. Okay. All right. On to, thank you. On to the December 15 minutes. Okay. Anybody have amendments or?
Yeah, I have a couple questions.
All right, go ahead.
Page 5.
Yeah.
Mrs. Gill brought up the matter of the final plan time clock, which was set at 45 days from issuance of the certificate of completeness. I thought we voted on that because it wasn't. I thought we had taken a vote to change it to 45 days. Maybe not.
We have to vote to change it. I think it was just a.
Oh,
I don't know if it was listed incorrectly.
yeah, it was. She's above it. She's got a correction. Time clock, 45 days.
Time clock is 25 days to be determined, so.
Okay, disregard.
Okay, do you have anything else, Rosemary?
Yeah, the last paragraph, it makes it sound as though,
Okay, sorry.
the last paragraph on page 5,
Mhm. Okay,
Ms. Gomes made a motion to adopt and approve the 5 findings of fact recited at the preliminary plan stage of review towards final plan approval. It doesn't sound, it doesn't, if we're doing, I don't know, it just doesn't,
alternate wording.
yeah, something doesn't sound right there.
Oh, you could just eliminate review towards final plan approval. Made a motion to adopt and approve the 5 findings of fact.
Yeah,
Oh, I see, because this is the final plan.
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Just, okay.
It's a little awkward, but I think it's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And if we can backtrack on page 4, the last paragraph of number 1. Mr. Hardy made a motion to grant conditional preliminary plan approval with conditions as previously noted. I think it's important to get the conditional preliminary ahead of the,
Okay.
you know.
Anything else?
Yeah. Page 6. Mr. Chappelle, in the middle of the page, Mr. Chappelle added that the utilities would now be located underground
Now,
at what now?
okay.
And in page 7, I didn't think Adam voted.
He wasn't. That was my comment. He stepped away.
Okay.
It needs to be 600 and leave Adam off because he had stepped away.
Yeah.
There and in the next paragraph also where the votes were taken. He wasn't there. He wasn't present to vote. So you should just not include him in the vote.
And then on page 7, you need to define the NTFWD. I think it's North Tiverton Fire Water. I don't know what it is.
Fire department.
No, it's district.
Districts, the W, there's no W. North Tiverton Fire District, isn't it?
North Tiverton Fire District.
North Tiverton Fire District, right?
It should be defined and then put that in parentheses.
It's defined on page 2. Would you like it there as well?
Yes, because you know how sometimes when you copy, like you did with Jerome, you pull it out one page, you might not know what it is. Thank you, Tara.
Understood. Thank you.
I'm just thinking of future.
Okay. Anything else, Rosemary?
Yep.
Was that a yep or a no?
What'd you say? I couldn't.
Everything else. I don't know if that was a yes or a no.
I don't know.
A yep or a no. Do you have anything? Anybody else have any corrections?
Oh
Comments?
yeah, page 11.
Okay.
Only Peter excused himself. I think Adam was already gone.
Oh, yeah, I don't know when he left.
And then still on page 11, Mr. Ludic, the paragraph that starts with Mr. Ludicart inquired, I would put in building zoning officer William Moore.
No.
All right, I need some clarification, please.
Sure.
So, I mean, when I noticed that Adam had left is when I looked up and that's when Peter was leaving. Do you want me to take that out? How would you like me to deal with that?
Leave it then. I don't care.
Yeah, that's fine. If you don't know when he left, that's fine.
And then going back to the bottom of page 5, was alternative language proposed? I'm not sure if you wanted me to reword that or.
Oh, yeah, we decided just to leave it as it was. The way it is, it's a little awkward, but it's okay. We haven't come up with anything better. But, it's fine.
All right. Page 11.
Go ahead. Rose.
The one where I stated Miss Eva suspected that there was no plan of the 4 lots in the land use records, and the lot lines had been configured by the tax assessor's office. Can
you repeat that?
Okay. Insert after lots in the land use records and delete on record. And that the lot lines had been configured by the tax assessor's office, insert office. The last sentence, Mr. O'Brien stated, I think that's just muddy in the water, but it's fine. Next paragraph. Okay, where you I would say delete was to be located in the proposed 7.097 acre lot. Mr. Moore responded that the additional research would need to be done in relation to the nonconformity of the existing building, which located on the proposed 7.097 acre lot. Just delete what was to be.
So which was located?
Yeah. Which was, it was shown on the, but
Which were shown on the proposed 7.097 acre lot?
which was shown on the proposed, yeah. All I have.
No? Anyone else? Any others?
Yeah, I have just one quick correction. I'd like to say that I think Tara does a fabulous job on minutes. This is a really tough job. We cover so much territory in our meetings. The discussions are so technical. Some people mumble. It's just, so I'd like to congratulate Tara for doing a really good job on minutes. I just caught one thing though on page 5, in the sentence that is just above the bullets, Ms. Gill recited the conditions of final plan approval. Legally, we can't put conditions on a final plan. So I changed that verbiage to say, Ms. Gill recited the minor edits to be made before the final plan is recorded. Did you get that, Tara, or should I say it again?
Nope, I got it. Thank you.
Super.
Thank you, Stu. I had that and I didn't come up with that because we cannot make a conditional final plan approval.
Okay. Anything else, anybody? Going once, going twice, okay. Do we have a motion to amend the minutes as, or to approve the minutes as amended?
I second.
All right, so Rosemary? and Stuart?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, guys, everybody gets to vote on these. Okay, Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Anna?
Yes.
Amanda? Yes, Amanda?
Wake up.
She's there. I don't know why it's not coming through.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, now I can. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't think I was present.
Oh, no, you weren't. Sorry, you were absent. Okay, sorry, I missed that. And Stu?
Yes.
And me, yes. All right.
And Stu is quite right about Tara taking the minutes. If people took the time to read the Jerome minutes.
Yeah.
Far cry.
Yes. Yes. That's why it helps to get all this information in there. So when people go back to it 10 years from now or 20 years from now, they can follow.
Gets some of the gist.
Right. Okay, thank you. Next item B is Chairman's Annual Report. Okay, you have in your packet is by charter, I believe it is. All the boards and commissions are supposed to submit annual reports to the town council. I didn't do one last year. It was kind of crazy. So I combined and did a summary of 2019 and 2020. What we try and show that this goes to the council. What we do. I thought it was important to include 2019 because of the huge turnover we had of both staff and planning board members. And there was not as much turnover in 2020, but there was some. So, and I know when you get to the end, you go 4 administrative subdivisions, 1 concept plan. I go, gee, it doesn't seem like that much, but you know, it's like some of these plans go for months and months. So I also wanted to refer them to, you know, they always have the administrative officer report and they always have access to our minutes. So I didn't include all the specific details of projects. But then what I did do, because I know the council likes to see that the next page is the major land development summary of residential and major, and then this time I included major land development petitions under review or approved. And what I was told in the past was they like to see kind of the number of pending houses. So that helps the school board used to like to see these, so it would help them with their planning for potential, you know, children into the system. but it just kind of lets them know what's out there. So I had updated the status of that, what things are recorded, what things are under construction. But I also felt it was important to include the major land developments in addition to this residential. It doesn't have school impact, but it lets them know what we're doing. So I did include the solar projects and the items in the industrial park that are going on. So hopefully that gives the council not detailed insight, but maybe it'll, motivate them to look at the AO report and the minutes to see what we're doing. So anyway, so Tara, if you go ahead and submit this onto the clerk's office, this will go on the council agenda, probably as a consent item. Okay. I'll leave you. So we don't have to approve it or anything, but I just wanted everybody to have that for the record. Okay. Is there any questions? No. Okay, good. Item C is review of past sureties, recommendations to town council and possible vote, the gravel bonds fund 500. I don't think we have any update, do we?
No, I did not. And I talked to Mike today.
I know, and I'm going to go back to some of the older sureties and I'm going to start adding a couple more on there. So we need to keep working on these, and that came up at the council meeting last night, that these long-held sureties need to get resolved. So anyway, moving on. Okay, item D is election of officers for 2021, discussion possible vote. So annually we elect chairman and vice chairman. So
I nominate Susan Gill for chairman.
I second that. Susan has done a terrific job.
Oh, all right. I'm willing to accept it at this point in time. It's a big job. I do enjoy it. So I guess what I need to do is was it Rosemary and Stu? Okay, so we need to do a vote for that. Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Amanda?
No, I'm just kidding.
You're gonna make me cry.
No, you've done a beautiful job. Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't get too cranky. Stu?
Yes.
And myself. Okay. All right. So then we have vice chairman. I'd like to nominate Stu, unless someone else wants to really do the job.
I'll second it.
Okay.
But before you vote, I'd
Right.
like to make a comment or two.
Go ahead.
I'm very concerned about the fact that we do a great job of reviewing development applications that come before the board, but we don't do such a good job of keeping on top of our housekeeping chores. And one of the biggest ones we face right now is the need to bring our zoning and our subdivision regulations into conformity with our comprehensive plan. Some of us worked very hard on the comp plan, which was adopted back in the summer of 2018. So the state law that governs all of this is the Comprehensive Planning and Land Use Regulation Act. And it's very specific. It says communities not only have to do a comprehensive plan, but then they are required to implement the recommendations in that plan in a timely fashion. And we need to do periodic reports to statewide planning on how well we have done. Thanks to Susan's hard work, we've done an awful lot on the subdivision regulations, and I think we've got them pretty well whipped into shape. I think that a small group like Rosemary and Susan and myself, working with the planner, can sit down and decide what else needs to be done, and I think we can wrap that up. But then the really big job is zoning. And our former AO, Rosemary,
Bill?
It's so late at night, my mind is going back, but I'm thinking of Kate Michaud. Kate used to say that our zoning is so bad that it shouldn't be amended. It should be thrown in the waste paper basket and we should start all over. I kind of agree with that. And so there are a huge number of recommendations in our current comprehensive plan that would give us, the planning board, new tools and better tools to fashion the kind of quality development that we all want to see in the town of Tiverton based on the vision in the comp plan. And I think it's vote for me for vice chair unless you're prepared to hear me talk about the need to get moving on bringing zoning into compliance. And we're going to need to have outside help for that. I'm prepared to put in a lot of hours of work on that. In fact, I already have. But I just wanted to quickly read you something right out of our comp plan. And it says, state law requires that the zoning code be reviewed and amended as necessary to conform to the comprehensive community plan. The initial review of the zoning code will be undertaken by the planning board as the first and most critical implementation action following final adoption of the plan. The planning board serves as custodian of the plan. We don't even have a plan. We don't have a plan about the plan. The board must drive the process to update the plan every 10 years. Then it goes on to say an annual review of implementation progress will be made by the planning board. An annual review, we've not done that. A report will be transmitted to the town council as part of the budget process. We haven't done that. Elements requiring capital or operating budget allocations will be prioritized annually based on changing conditions. So we've got a lot of work to do. It's in our own comprehensive plan. It's in state law. And we need to at least develop a plan about how we're going to implement comp plan recommendations into zoning. So that would be my big priority for the year 2021. And I will take on at least as much responsibility for that as Susan has taken on with the subdivision regulations. So I just wanted to point that out and to say that that's my top priority for 2021.
I just want to say here, I completely agree. And one of my frustrations of this past year, while I've enjoyed my time thus far on the planning board, is that we never seem to have time to do exactly what Stu has said, because we're always, and I understand that, we're perpetually reviewing projects and getting through the backlog, and Susan has done an amazing job at getting all of the checklist items and all of those protocols up to speed. But I feel like we should make this a focus. I wonder, just as a process issue, whether or not we need to, if there are times to carve out other time, or if we do, even I would be willing to say like a mini retreat over a weekend or a long Sunday,
or just every so often have a special meeting.
Exactly.
On one of our special meeting dates when we do nothing but catch up with our housekeeping.
Yeah. And I just feel it's critically important because, I mean, and I'm speaking candidly, there are a number of bad projects or bad ideas that we have no authority or control to manage.
And other communities do have.
Exactly.
Because they have implemented recommendations that we have not done.
Yeah. And the thing is, we do have a wonderful document in the comprehensive community plan, and it just needs to have teeth and it needs to have alignment with zoning. So I would be for that. And if we could, I know it's late now, but kind of as a body come up with a plan to address this. And I would be willing to work with Stu to the best of my ability and any others who are interested to do additional work toward that end.
That'd be great.
Great.
I
I'd
think,
be interested.
and I think that
as
that's.
well in that.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Amanda.
Oh, I was just agreeing with Peter. I would definitely be interested in working with Stu and Peter.
Okay. I mean, I think that's helpful. The more you get involved in the nitty gritty of it, the more it helps you learn what's going on and how to address then applications. I know that's what I've always felt too, is that we're always reactive. We're never proactive and we're never developing. And so if, we can, and now that we have Jennifer as a real planner, I think that will help us a lot, maybe help to formulate our plan and to pinpoint things better, because we've been kind of fumbling around in the dark. But I mean, I think, if you guys are willing to do like those second meetings of the month, if we can reserve more of those for these work meetings, that's how we can get through some of these things better. I mean, it takes outside work, but then to hash them out and to go forward with them. Because, I know you can't do it after you've reviewed 2 or 3 applications. Your brains are, you're just ready to go. So, if you guys are willing to do that, I mean, I think that would be really helpful then to reserve some of these second meetings of the month once we get some of this information. Because then we can sit down and work it through a whole lot faster than trying to tag them on the end of meetings. I don't know, Jennifer, do you have any thoughts on how to, I don't know.
Well, I think that dovetails into my presentation that I was going to give, just to get everyone on the same page of what the state law says. But yeah, I feel like maybe my presentation should wait till a special meeting, and we could talk about it then, because it does feel like a lot after you've done all those applications.
Right.
It's just, a lot to, if we just talk about that.
It's a different mindset too, that you need to come to that work with than the review of all of the other applications. And the last thing I was just going to say is that I don't know if there is any discretionary budget, but I think when Stu had mentioned earlier about whether we need to have at some point a facilitated meeting or something, I would say, if there are some discretionary funds where we could do that, and just to understand again for the whole board what best practices are in relationship to compliance with comprehensive plans and zoning, to give us some sense of direction, or that would be, I would vote for that anyway. I don't know if we have those funds, as I said, but
well, actually, statewide planning has already done some of that, Peter. They have a manual that helps communities understand how to implement the plan and turn it, put teeth into the plan as part of zoning in particular. So some of that's already been done. It's just a question of gathering those resources. But we do have a few technical areas. Mapping in particular is one area that I'm not very familiar with. And some of the mapping resources in the state are restricted. So they ask you to put your password in order to get that. I guess that's something that maybe planners have. But we certainly need to hire Mary Hutchinson or somebody like that to help us get into the mapping, because that is really, really essential. Susan and I have been talking about the state going through the process of adopting new regulations for wetlands that will really affect the planning board, because it governs how we can deal with applicants with respect to wetlands. And all of that comes down to the state will be drawing the buffers around water bodies to decide whether the buffer is 50 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet. That information is out there, but I can't access it. So there's an awful lot, but I think we do have it in our budget. I think we have it in our budget already, because it's not going to be terribly expensive. Sorry for being long-winded.
There's supposed to be some type of a seminar, I think, on sea level rise that was brought up last night at the town council. I think it's around February 1st.
February 1st, yeah, it's the Harbor Commission.
Right. I mean, I think that would be quite interesting too, because we're really going to be affected by that.
Yeah.
Are you involved in that, Jennifer? You're
Yes,
smirking.
I was invited to go to that. And Stu is mentioning those manuals. You will see my name on the manual.
Wow.
Well, I was part of writing that. So I do know about comprehensive plans, but definitely mapping is, I do know GIS, not just the stuff that you look at, but the shape files, but we actually don't have that software here. It costs quite a bit of money.
Well, I think we better hit Powerball.
I know, did you see?
Yeah.
But
can you send out that notice for the sea level rise?
Do you want me to? Yeah, that's.
You can let everybody know it's available that Monday night.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be good. Oh, actually, it'll be Zoom on it. Yeah. It'll be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will be.
I always forget.
You know, I'm gonna suggest this particular thing. I think it would be nice. I love Stu and Stu, but I think it'd be nice to have some new blood. Maybe you have a secretary. I know that you guys don't usually have a secretary as an officer, but if you don't include it, it is suggested in state law. I'll just say that.
Right.
Secretary.
But
I don't know if it's necessary.
That's
What
what
do
the
you expect
clerk's
the
for.
secretary to do?
Are you saying as a board member?
Yeah.
No.
What do you expect the
She
secretary
says
to do?
no.
That's what I got a clerk for.
No, the secretary usually looks over the minutes and makes sure that the minutes are accurate. That's usually what a secretary is for. But it also would be nice to have some other people, I think, come into the fold. But I'm not a member of the board, so I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, if you can define what you think a secretary position is, because I know we had this discussion a few years back and, we weren't sure. I mean, there was just discussion and we decided not to do it at that time. I mean, if you've got experience with what a secretary does in another town, I think that's worth a discussion. I can't remember.
All the towns I've worked for had a secretary. It was surprising when I came here and you guys.
I know if there's ways for individuals on the board to get more involved, because it does help you learn the process. I mean, that's how I learned it, was by being thrown into the administrative officer position after being on the board for 2 years. It's like, yeah.
The
So
budget committee will take our clerk away from us.
Oh.
Carrie there, we got a ringer now. So
Never.
I think, if you want to continue this planning board 101 to dovetail with maybe another discussion at a future meeting, I think that would be fine. I think we'll get a little tired and punchy, but yeah, I think it's a good start. I really would like to work on some of the projects, the things that make it work better for everybody, for the applicants and for us. And, I just like things to work better for the town. I mean, that's our goal, is we're here to represent the town, work on behalf of the town. And that's what I always try and remember when I put forth things. I don't have agendas. I just try and think of what's best for the town.
Yeah.
It comes across a little harsh sometimes. And they don't always like it. But I'm not speaking for myself. I'm speaking based on subdivision regulations and what the rules are. I'm very rule oriented. Let me figure that out. So anyway, does anybody else have any other comments they want to make at this time? I know it is getting.
Did we vote on Stu?
Oh, yes, we did.
All right.
Yeah, we did. We go around. Or did we? I wrote
I
it.
don't think so.
No, I think we nominated, then he.
He digressed.
That everybody voted, but we didn't. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to.
And then a discussion, and now we're ready for the vote.
Okay, a good discussion.
Okay, Rosemary?
Yes.
Christine?
Yes.
Janice?
Yes.
Amanda? Oh.
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Stu?
Yes.
Okay, now we have 7+. Thank you. So like I said, the last item is the planning 101, but I think Jennifer talked about that. We'll go ahead and move that to a future meeting because we're all starting to, well, I'm starting to burn out a little bit. A lot of legal questions and confusing items just kind of makes your head spin after a while. Okay, so our next scheduled meeting will be, I think it's in 3 weeks, right? It comes up in 3 weeks. Comes around fast. 1, 2, yeah, it'll be 1, 2, yep, February 2nd. Yeah.
I may or may not be at that meeting.
All right.
I'm going on vacation.
Oh, look at you. You're brave.
Be
I'm
safe.
trying to go to St. Lucia.
Ooh, can you travel out of the country now?
You can, but you have to do a COVID test before and after, and you have to like travel with some kind of documentation saying that you haven't been around anyone and all this other stuff. But yeah, you can.
Oh wow. Oh, that's interesting. Well, hopefully you'll make it back. Maybe it wouldn't be the worst thing to be stuck
I
there.
mean, if I get, quarantined in St. Lucia, I think I'll be okay.
Send us a postcard.
Yeah, right.
Okay, all right. Okay, so with that, if there's nothing else, we'll go ahead. The next meeting will be February 2nd. We have a motion.
What is that?
I don't know who's got something.
It's not me.
Right. Our motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 9:38. Privilege motion.
Second.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Night.